All right. We are back again for another open court discussion in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Oh,
And hopefully, um, we'll have the passionate and insightful Jackie Brown, and even maybe the youngest in charge, Shaughnessy, might pull up. We took this past Monday off, so the energy should be high, should be focused. Anytime you have a few days off, you always want to come back strong. So let's do a recap from Monday, March 6th. We discussed the topic a woman's emission, and we covered four areas. Why do women cheat? How does men being cheated on, how does that impact them? Can your relationship become stronger after being cheated on? And number four, how does cheating impact women? So let's move. If you're interested in that, go back to subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor, and you'll see that show. And if you're interested in finding out about that content, okay. So let's move along with this heated topic that was going down in the counselor's corner and all over social media this past week. So we're going to discuss the Ciara nonsense and why it's not acceptable. And most of you seen the outfit that she had on, pretty much lace sheer, see everything. And we're going to talk about why it's not acceptable. And I know a lot of people feel like, oh, it's a theme party. Let me say this, and before we get going, I don't give a damn if that's my wife. I don't give a damn if Jesus Christ sent her an invite to that function. You ain't wearing that shit. You ain't wearing it. No way, no how. Especially because my profession as a football player, where I'm around a bunch of guys, a lot of you know, testosterone going on, and there's going when you work with like 40, like 50 people, there's going to be somebody that says something. And then you're going to have people that come back, yo, such and such said this about your wife. I don't know why you want to create that type of atmosphere. So that's that. We're going to go deeper, but I just wanted to get that out. Um, but I know why some women like to wear revealing clothes like that. And one of the things is it's a confidence booster. It may show your individuality, female empowerment, uh, to please others, and simply women want attention. Y'all may say y'all don't, and we're going to talk about that too, because y'all don't like to be looked at. Don't like a man to stare at you, gawk at you, but you damn near naked. Um, so there's no need to bring up another talking point because I'm sure this conversation will lead to other topics, such as women not liking men to stare at them when they wear revealing clothes. So do me a favor and please like and share our video. And if you have not done so, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. We're sitting at 613 subs. So let's go, people. The goal is to get to 650 soon and then get to 700. Got to break this down, got to break it down in small pieces. All right, so here we have it. Oh, man, what's going on, Herb? I think we got Gavin just came in. Gonna let him in. So what's good, Herb?
man, just finished off the outline of the book. Got on the scale last week and it said 282 point something pounds, which is unacceptable. So now I'm on a weight loss journey. I'll keep people posted week by week on that progression. And hopefully the weather is breaking so I can get out of this winter doldrum that I'm in and start doing some things, start moving a lot of plans forward that I've had on the books for quite some time. That's about it, though.
All right. What's going on, Gavin?
Hey guys, what's going on? hear any noise in the background, that's because I'm in commute. So I'm on the train right now, ready to go home. So, but I'm doing good.
All right, good to hear that. Good to hear that.
How we living?
Yeah, me same old, same old. Just getting to that point of the school year out. You know, I'm always gonna have my little school stories. Um, getting to that, getting to the end. We're getting to the excitement part, especially. And I know y'all may say he's petty as hell, but
Right.
some for some reason I like this time of the year because all the nonsense that we dealt with throughout the year, now it's getting critical that the farewell ceremony when you the fake graduation for middle school when you walk across the stage and everybody asking for tickets and you got people coming from out of town and and you're thinking about that little gift money and suddenly letters go out
Mm,
summer school where you possibly being retained and you
mm,
won't be able to participate
yep.
and it's getting to that point so um I don't know. Maybe that's just the evil side in me. Love to have those stack of letters go around to the classroom and their eyes get all big, like I hope, and be breathing heavy, like I hope I don't get one of those letters. That's how I used to do it, but we kind of changed up the format. But I think sometimes, sometimes people have to feel embarrassment to make a change, but sometimes they just want to have call everybody in the auditorium and don't do it in the classroom. But my old school way of doing it is go around the classroom, had the envelopes for that class, and here you go, and everybody know what it is. So they looking like, oh wow, and then they holding their breath in. And sometimes I fake like I'm about to give somebody one, and they're like, "Oh shit!" Like that.
Mm,
So it's that time of the year. So it's the get back time. Like, yo, yeah, I was doing all this. Yeah, I was big and bad all year.
mm.
Now, now you're ready to cry. Now you want to come up with solutions and how you can do this and do that. But I told you from the beginning of the year, stay focused. Knock this out. This is your last year of middle school. Enjoy it. So that's just that. Yeah.
Now,
The evil
when you
counselor.
when you have to do that in your experience, uh, from your experience over the years, who gave you the greater backlash? The student or the parent would like say, hey, yada 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 yada. Like, what was the more harsh?
Well, the students, they kind of already know.
Right.
They already kind of know. They just don't maybe share with their parent, and then parents get exposed because where was you at all year? There was progress reports. There was report cards. There were letters sent out, and people made phone calls. You didn't reply back. There was automated calls that check report cards are going out, progress reports are going out, and you didn't acknowledge it. But now you want to have a big celebration at the end, but don't want to put in the work. Doesn't work like that. So a lot of times you have the parents, oh, is anything they can do at this point? No, there's really nothing we could do at this point. Well, I had family come here. Oh, they came for you. Better think of some other theme. Maybe I could wear a sheer dress theme or something during that time because it won't be that farewell walking across the stage theme.
So
So
the
definitely the
parents
parent.
that, when they get that letter from when the child brings it home, what you hear like a common excuse that they bring up and come to you, like as to why they couldn't answer or why they weren't so involved, like why they didn't know, or is it like all over the place?
It usually is Uh, Mr. Glover, they tell me they don't have no homework. They don't have no homework. I work two jobs. I'm trying my best. I always tell them to do this and do that, but really none of that stuff. I mean, I'll listen to it, but it's too late in the game when it gets to that point. So that's what they'll come up with some situation or a sad story, but it usually don't fly. And this is only to get them experience for when they get to high school because the stakes is going to be much higher,
Magnified.
and they're really counting and tracking and documenting high school graduation rates and stuff like that. So It's nothing. This is like small scale. Because some kids, you still, based on their age, they may not be able to participate in the farewell ceremony. But if damn they 15 and they about to dry to middle school, they got to go to high school. There's nowhere else for them to go. They can't be 16 sitting up in the middle school. So some of them they just won't get to participate in the. And you know us folks, especially black folks, we love celebrations. Yeah, some of them just don't get to partake in that.
Yeah, and to add to what David is saying, there is ample opportunity, and the warnings become clear after the 10-week marking period. If a student is struggling, then it's only going to magnify. And I say this having been involved in the mentoring program where I made it a point to not only get progress reports every 5 weeks so we can identify what students were potentially going to fail or at risk of failing that marking period. Because if you fail a marking period, you're in trouble. It doesn't matter whether it's 10, 20, 30, or 40 week. If 40 week, you might as well forget it. If you fail a 40-week marking period, just like David said, you might as well get ready to go to summer school. And the really tragic thing is you have kids who have already penciled in summer school. Like they literally saying, well, I don't care if I don't do well during the year because I have the safety net summer school to make up for it. Now, I'll be the first to say, I repeated seventh grade because I refused to spend my summer in school. That was unfathomable to me. I got to do what? Oh no, I'll repeat the grade again. That was just me. And I'm sure some of the kids have taken on that mantra. I'm like, well, let me rephrase it. I'm sure some of these kids have not taken on that mantra. They'll actually go to summer school, which is not necessarily a good or a bad thing. But what it tells me is they didn't get it right the first time. And I know the
Well,
old adage exists. There's never time to do it right the first time, but there's always time to do it over. These kids don't mind doing it over. And that's when the parents have to start looking at themselves. There is no excuse. And people love to say that parenting is a job. Parenting is not a job. And I wish people would stop saying that. Parenting is a responsibility. You have a responsibility to that child that you bore or you created to help them get to the next steps in life, which is young adulthood. And this is what David is talking about when they push you forward. Because legislation has mandated that once you reach the age of 21, I think in most states, you get pushed out of school whether you graduated or not. You
so,
get
so,
to, oh, go ahead, Dave.
so one of the things you said, like some of the kids, they do realize that. They realize, oh, I don't care about walking across the stage and all of that shit. I don't care about that. Don't care if parents coming in, because like I tell them, a lot of it is for your family. Don't you want to, your mother, your father, your grandmother, your grandparents to be proud of you that you're going to the next level? Some of them realize this game. They're like, well, I can go to summer school for a month. I don't got to. I can have fun all year long and go to summer school and get correct and show up and do whatever, and I get to get promoted. I'm going to sign up for that deal.
Mhm.
So a lot of them they cash out on that deal.
Because I remember I re, like do I remember like the next year, seventh grade homeroom. I'm in there joking with my man who's passed on, Shorty. He's always been a good dude, and we're in the same homeroom. He bell rings, pledge is uh, pledge was recited. I sat down. He looked around and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Homeroom." He said, "You supposed to be in the eighth grade?" I said, "Yeah, supposed to be." He said, "You failed." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Man, I refuse to go to summer school," and he was shocked. And I remember the day looking around. I said, "I don't like this feeling." I said, "I really don't." I said, "All my classmates have moved on. I'm here. I'm a year older." Or my situation, I was 2 years older than most of the people. Like my graduating class, I'm the second oldest person. One, because of when my birthday was, but two, because I failed seventh grade, and then three, because I dropped out. So I was one of those people who was 20 when they graduated high school. My 21st birthday was later that year. So when I speak about these things, I speak from firsthand experiences that These parents need to become more involved. 5 week, 10 week, 15, 20. Every 5 weeks, it takes less than 15, 20 minutes to check on the progress of your child. You owe them that much. Honestly, if you don't do anything else, just ensure that they're educated at the primary level, because then they have the tools to do any other thing else. Wow. They have the tools to do anything else that they want, but they need that diploma. That's the basic, the foundation of everything that they'll do in the future.
So ghetto spy
Spider. Yeah.
spider. He said when I was in high school, the counselor never spoke to me about college options like they were supposed to do. And I don't know when what state you live in and what year it was, but a lot of times, see the thing is when I came to the Maryland School District in Baltimore County, we went in the classrooms and we gave presentations like you know a presentation like quarterly, a couple presentations related to credit hours, options, and different things like that. See, when I was in high school, um, I mean, they kind of looked at your GPA and then they would have
Yeah.
that conversation, but they never all people thought of when you thought of a counselor, they was called guidance counselors, but we don't we don't go by that name anymore. We go by school counselors because it's more. We do way more stuff than schedules and stuff like that. And people thought that's all that guidance counselors ever did. But I think it was set up that some of them, depending on what your GPA was, they may not have had that conversation with you, but they should have had some conversation with you. They could have said, "Oh, community college, military, go out to the workforce, a trade or something." Some conversation should be had with every senior, and you should know. And that's the big thing in high school that you should know on your caseload what every student is doing. Uh, I was in high school for 8 years, and now I've been asked to come back to high school, but now I'm at this point. Oh hell no, I ain't about to be tracking all of that stuff. And the way these kids are. So I'll stay at the middle school level and try to make a difference with that. So it's a lot going on, and we wonder why, as adults, we experience tough times because a lot of times the struggles that children go through throughout schooling and in the homes is going to lead to chaos, or we like to talk about relationships. So without further ado, we need to tackle that subject about the Ciara nonsense and why it's unacceptable. So, Herb, man, what's your thoughts on that? Talk to us because
Well,
you seen the comments, whatever they went checking for the. They think these women think it's a-okay because it was a theme party, so you can be naked.
I'm going to read a couple things in here. They kind of lengthy read, so just bear with me. They're from opposing views. So I just want people to understand. First one is from my man Perfect. I don't want to mispronounce the last name that he goes by, but it's Trisemiligus. All right. And he says this. He says, and some people echo this. He says, the hell if I ain't tired of hearing about Russell Wilson and Ciara. Been tired, actually. Both sides are annoying. The single mom sluts who believe that Ciara's story will help them find some rich or well-to-do sucker to be stepdaddy for her kids that she had by ancient men. And the guys who obsessively watch everything this couple does to prove a point. These are Hollywood weirdos. How they live their life is totally different from how we everyday people live. So to be getting into heated debates about how these weirdos in Hollywood live is crazy. Previously, I described the gender war between black men and women as being corny, but don't get it twisted. I definitely understand why it's taking place, and I sympathize with the black men. The reasons I call the gender war corny is because it's reached a point where if you're a man who wants a truly peaceful, prosperous life, it's time to move on and do whatever you're going to do. But the gender war had to happen, and here's why. I grew up in the era of daytime talk shows: Donahue, Sally Jesse Raphael, Ricky Lake, Jenny Jones, Monta Williams, Geraldo, and countless others. During this 40 plus year stretch, black women were allowed to go on these major platforms and say, without any pushback whatsoever, that black men ain't shit, black men are gay, and in jail, deadbeat dads. They omitted the fact that 80% or more black women share less than 20% of black men. Not only was this kind of rhetoric spoken on daytime talk shows, it was promoted in movies, TVs, and all other forms of media. All media avenues was considered. It's safe to say that black women were these things in front of, I'm sorry, it's safe to say that black women said these things in front of audience in the hundreds of millions. So pervasive was the message that a lot of black boys grew up with a deep resentment towards black adult men because we believed the lies. It wasn't until many of us got older and saw how things worked for ourselves when we realized we had been lied to by the media, our mothers, aunts, etc. What we didn't know was the majority of black women were intentionally picking the worst kinds of men, hoping they could change them. And when things did inevitably work out, they blamed the men that they didn't want, the men they passed up. This led to the great lie that the average black male is fucked up. Of course, this was a divide and conquer play by the social engineers who own the media, who are in control of shaping public thinking. One staple of a divide and conquer play is the blatant double standard. In this case, black women were able to speak freely, while black men were deliberately shut out and not given a chance to tell their side of the story. With the emergence of the internet and social media, black men eventually begin to air out our grievances, mainly via YouTube in the area dubbed the manosphere. Now, all of a sudden, people have an issue with the gender war and want to claim that we should unify. Obviously, people want only the gender war to end because men are telling the truth about black women, truths that don't paint them in a good light at all. Here's why I'm with it. For all of the black females and simps who have a problem with black men airing out their grievances, don't say anything to these black men until y'all check black women for having black drug men throughout the mud in the mainstream for the last 40 plus years. I know. We's don't own the media though. I don't give a fuck. They still utilize the media to their message and had a major impact. Manosphere channels get a few thousand views, a few 100,000 if you're lucky, while these talk shows, TV shows, movies, etc., were exposed to millions of people, if not billions. Even someone like Kevin Samuels was a nobody compared to such numbers. No black female simp has a right to tell black men to be quiet until they address what has happened for the past 40 plus years. For all the people who speak out against the gender war, aka wanting men to stop talking, I hear you. Yet one detractor addresses or even acknowledges how black men drug black men through the mainstream media. Until y'all do, you have those room to tell these men to stop speaking their mind. Now, a lot of people, and there's more questions I have that I'll probably get to later as they become more relevant. Like I said, a lot of people are looking at this through the prism of I'm sorry. They're looking at this through an isolated lens. I wrote my thoughts down because I didn't want to keep rehashing them. And what I mean by that is this. We look at former First Lady Michelle Obama. You had never seen her dressed or photographed in something like this. But this is the woman that millions upon millions of black women idolize. Love the way she was behaved in public, even though she had to face ridicule from the dominant media about the way she dressed because of her body shape. She was never viewed as anything lacking class. And we knew when she was attacked on that premise why it was. It was never for this. Her children were raised properly. When we look at who we idolize, or more importantly, because this is a black woman issue, but a black man concerned. When you look at who they idolize in terms of dressing, she's rarely talked about. She's rarely emulated. Instead, they put some people like Ciara, Rihanna, and the other I'm sorry, female rapper that'll lose my name at her name eludes me at the time.
Nicki Minaj or something.
Yeah, Nicki Minaj. This is why black men are pushing back. They're supposed to be the well, I'm not even gonna say thought leaders because that would be a terrible just a terrible way to say that. But they're supposed to be looked at as the torchbearers of black culture. And if that's the case, then what do we have in our culture that holds our women to a standard of decency, particularly when they're married? If this is what women are idolizing, then what do black men have to look forward to in terms of respect in a marriage? Be, because as your wife goes into public, so do you. And just like David had mentioned earlier, there was a guy on a podcast in the comments, and when I say I'm reading comments, people, I am reading comments. He said his wife showed up at his job in a two-piece bikini and a trench coat, opened it up in front of his office mates who were mostly men. And when questions inevitably started to fly about who she was, people thought she was a stripper. He had to say, you know what? That's my wife. Just imagine the kind of mental damage that does to a man to have your coworkers thinking that your wife is a paid stripper. I want to let that marinate for a moment.
Well, we got a lot of it's some comments going on uh, in the chat. The first one said, "Black man, we're on a talk show telling the world how they didn't like black women, as they've done since the dawn of time. This man is reading lies." Um, Lewis said, "Awareness is everything." Ghetto Spider said, "Facebook users, we will never find one show that supports that claim." The other is falls under Facebook users. You would never be able to find a show that supports your claim. Donald said, "Herb, you can't compare a politician to an entertainer, though people tend to assume the character of their profession." Um, Ghetto Spider said, "Just about every female rapper that is out now is about that city girl mentality." And then Facebook user said, "There are many issues that plague black men directly. They should focus on themselves rather than distracting themselves with the affairs and attire of black women." They want to sweep that under the rug, man. See, this is my whole thing. Whether you're a politician, whether you're an entertainer, you have children. You have children. So sometimes when it's all said and done, you have to say, what would be the best interest of my child? Because my children are getting older. I got two boys. And now this, and I don't think people understand. I think they only deal with the circle of their child's couple friends that they have, how evil these kids are and treacherous. And them boys could be targeted from here on out. Hey, look at your hey, like these kids are so. Me and one of my mans at school was just talking about it. Like, yo, they got so much going on. You can't even have kid conversations with them because everything is adult related. Like some of the stuff that they experience and see. So now her kids, it's probably going to be brought up throughout, and comments are going to be made. Excuse my language. You're going to have some boys that say, yeah, man, I'll fuck the shit out your mother, or whatever the case is. I remember she wore this. And it could be years from now. You have to think about that stuff. You really do. And again, I don't give a damn what the theme is or whatever the case is. You have to think about those issues like, how is this going to impact my child? See, a lot of y'all, a lot of people who was responding to this were saying, well, we'll never have to worry about that. But then again, maybe not on that level, but regular common folks wear shit that they ain't supposed to wear. They on TikTok doing this and that, damn near naked. So this it's bigger than Ciara. It's about thinking about your appearance, respect, values, and different things. So if you think it's okay because it's a theme, then that's on you. But for me, nah. You have to think about other people as well.
Let me start addressing some of the chat critics, okay? Since y'all want to talk about I can't compare a politician to an entertainer, you know what? You make a very valid point. Let me read some names to you. Paper. Aretha Franklin, Tina Turner, Janet Jackson, Whitney Houston, Mary J. Blige, Alicia Keys, Shaka Khan, Beyonce. Can we use those as comparisons? Now tell me, when was the last time you seen any of those women looking like Ciara? I'll wait. See, this is the problem we have with simps. Someone idolizing mediocre. We have to, it's going to get X-rated up in here, so y'all might want to buckle your chin straps and put on your 5-point harnesses. This is the problem we have with people idolizing mediocre pussy and black women culture that's gone rogue. Y'all don't realize, like David said, this sets your children up to be bullied. And the reason you're not cognizant of it, because you're not thinking long term. Ciara's going to be isolated from it. But your kids, like Perfect said, they will not. And to co-sign that, I'm going to read something from Star. She's on my friends list. Look her up. She's a wealth of untapped information. And this is the thing that she says. The world treats you differently when you're a wife. It provides extra layers of respect in business and in parenthood. The schools treat your children differently when you are married. After cleaning your image and you become bored with that weak ass man, think about the kids and what they will see. If you're able to dominate him, someone else will also. He will be weak towards any woman he gets. Now your kids are getting mistreated because the next woman dominates him differently and is jealous of your kids. I'm speaking from experience. There's only one thing left to do. After your image is clean from being a wife, attract someone who you respect. Become a wife again. Just be aware of any impending karma, but a wise woman can transmute it. It's not easily done. Now, rub shoulders with prominent individuals and reap the respect of your community members. Your children will thrive. Many powerful women have multiple marriages under the belt simply for those reasons. That's why when you excel, you at a whole another level of power. I got to get paid for feeding y'all some of this game your mother should have taught you at age 10. She says, sigh, but carry on. What she's talking about is that when you make a mistake like Ciara did, getting involved with Future, you got to find somebody that cleans up your image. Who better for Ciara than a gentleman like Russell Wilson to clean up her image? In other words, it's like laundering money. When criminals give dirty money, they open a legitimate business and they run that money through there, and that money comes out clean on the other side. This is what Ciara has done. And this is what a lot of black women want to be able to hold on to, is that fairy tale that they can go out there, and this is for those who's applicable to. They want to be able to go out there, make the biggest mistake that a woman can make, which is have a child out of wedlock by somebody who has multiple children, whether he's involved or not, and then be able to dip back into the pool of eligible men, find one, and have her image cleaned up. That's the ultimate win-win for most women that fall on that path of decision making.
Hold
It's
on,
not
hold on,
about.
Lord. Hold
Go ahead.
on. You know what I wonder? And I never looked into it. I wonder, um, you know, as far as Russell Wilson's stats of late, when he start when they start getting to the heat of the social aspects of their events, how has it impacted him as a quarterback? And people may say, "Oh, that has nothing to do with it." But as a quarterback or any athlete, ment- mental is everything. Sometimes that's over physical, the mind, the IQ of the game. And I wonder how, and I just wonder, and I didn't look into it, look at his stats and all that, because personally, I really don't care like that. So for some of y'all that use that argument, why do you care? It's a fucking conversation, like with everything else. For the people who say, oh, y'all still talking about that? It's for conversation, like everything else. So I just wonder. Just want to throw that out there. And
Well,
again, I don't give a fuck.
well, there's some of his teammates in Denver are displeased with him. Period. It's less to do with his play than him and how he's disassociating himself from the team. No other quarterback that I have ever known has a personal office at the team facility. That's Barry Bonds' treatment. And we know what Barry Bonds did, those of us who are MLB fans, Major League Baseball fans. That's the best way to alienate yourself from the rest of your teammates. And as a quarterback, you can't lead if you don't have the support of your men. It's not going to happen. That's like a general trying to lead an army, and the army doesn't like the general. They don't even follow his commands or wishes. He can't command. He can't lead. It's dysfunctional. That's there. Being said, that's one of the reasons why they have a new head coach. And they said the first job that this new head coach is going to have is to get Russell Wilson straightened out, aka to get back to playing football. A lot of people believe he's in Denver to do sort of what LeBron has did with going out to Los Angeles, and that's to broaden his career. And nobody should begrudge Russell Wilson that. Your football career for a quarterback, while it might be longer than everybody else's position, you might make more because the position is a little more lucrative. You still got men out there who want to win. That's why they play the game. They can give a damn about what he does in his personal life. But when your personal life starts to affect what you do in the game, aka John Morant, there's a problem. And people don't realize that at a certain time, you need wise counsel in your corner. You need somebody who's going to pull you aside and say, hey, look, you got to straighten up. You got to do better. You have to choose better. And I'm going to read something else by Star. This is to back what people are saying. Women can learn a lot from Ciara. Always get a weaker type of man to clean up your image. I did it before. It's predatory as hell, but it's called life. Life is full of predators and prey. She obviously cannot tame bad boys, aka Future. That's a whole nother type of energy most women don't have. Your mother has to teach you this early on. Most of your mothers are horrible teachers. She taught you heartache, but not how to break hearts. Y'all more focused on her outfit, but failed to teach your daughters how to hunt for athletes who never smelled good chocolate coochie before. She put another word down. We'll read it. If your daughter fucks up and becomes a baby mama, Show her how to hunt for a rustle, but also teach your daughters how not to fumble publicly. Men don't get offended. Your mama should have taught you this also. Unless you're a predator by nature, you will see shit completely different due to inexperience. Everyone has motives after becoming a baby mama. Your main motive should be the safest man to clean up your image. This is what black women are looking for. But like Star said, they don't have the ability to go out and secure that. This is why they fight tooth and nail to look like that. Because black women hold on to the mantra that nobody can tell them what to do. That's until they go to that damn job. All of a sudden, they yes, sir, yes, ma'am. So obviously, somebody can tell them what to do. And obviously, somebody else besides God judges them. That's why they don't appear at work like that. That's one of the reasons why they fight via legislation to be able to wear their hair like they want to. And I don't begrudge them that. I'm just saying, stop with the double nonsense because you do care. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't fuss. Passport Bros is the reason this is happening. Or this is happening. This is what's causing us, said it backwards. This is what's causing the Passport Bros. This is part of the reason that y'all can't find suitable man because you don't raise suitable boys. Because you're too busy trying to show off your body when you should be putting that energy and effort into your sons and your daughters. And because as a culture, we value the wrong things, we can't put into our kids. And ultimately, they suffer.
Ooh-wee. A lot been thrown out there. A lot still coming through in the chat. And at the end of the day, you got to be who you are. And no matter, and I know people say it was easy for us to say we not rich or whatever, but you got to be grounded by something. You have to be grounded by something. You have to have someone, that voice of reason, that kind of gets you over the hump to say, hold on, I've made it, but I have to take a breath and think about some of the things that I do. You just can't do what everybody else do. You can't. Certain situations warrant, like, okay, I have other people to think about, whether it's your husband, whether it's your parents that still living, your children, your profession. So we have to stop. And I think Herb mentioned this before. Stop making excuses and hold people accountable. Because if it wasn't Ciara and if it was a regular person, I know it. I have a sister. I hang around. I used to hang around them. I know the commentary that comes out their mouth. She looks stink. She looks stupid. Why she got that on? But if it's somebody with, y'all teabag off of people with money so bad that it's crazy, that y'all lose all y'all principles and make excuses over and over and over. Unless it's a man doing it, then it's different. Stop teabagging and think about your principles. Like, nah, I wouldn't wear that. I don't care what. I don't care what. Just because it was, that's still gonna resonate in my head. I'm gonna keep talking about it was a theme party. Because that's what I kept getting. It was a theme. It was a theme. Sometimes your life don't fit in with a fucking theme. It just doesn't. You can't do it. I'm just not gonna follow suit to everything. I'll say, nah, you may be interested in going, but I'm just gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna wear what I gotta wear. If they don't accept me, if they turn me around, that's fine. Because you know what? She got choices. She got options. She got money. She got power. You ain't have to go to that shit. I don't care how much they pay you. You ain't got to do it. You already got money. You're not in. It's not a desperate situation. That's what you have to think about too. You got money. You
And
got power. You got choices.
yeah, I'm gonna read some more comments. Some for Sierra, some against Sierra. Another one by Paula Wilson Andrews. She says she's starving for attention. This is a see me move. Shaking my damn head. Classless. A woman can have sex appeal without exposing herself in that manner. And that's the thing that a lot of black women have to master. It's the art of being sexy and seductive without appearing slut or slut like. She has to remember years from now, her daughters and sons will see this and it's not a good example of what a wife or mother should wear. I'll address that too. How would she feel as a child if her mother wore this outside of the home? This pic can never be taken back. It frames her as a woman in the present and the future. The reason why she's able to do this, and Starr mentioned this earlier in the comments that she made, is Russell Wilson can clean up her image. Also, Russell Wilson's money protects her and to an extent the kids from public scrutiny. Guess what happens when those kids get to be adults? Willow Smith, anyone? See, we keep thinking that what happens in Hollywood leaves those kids isolated, but they're only isolated until they get out into the real world. And while they may not have to go work at a Subway, a McDonald's, FedEx, or any number of jobs that the average rank and file American works, they're still going to be exposed to some form of bullying, whether the bullying's on the internet, whether it's actual and physical, meaning that they're being tailed by the paparazzi. We are those of us who are in my age demographic remember how Princess Diana was killed. She was hounded by paparazzi to the point where they got in a car accident. So nobody's immune to things that they do privately because sometimes people are after you to the point that they will hound you to get to you. So stop with the disillusionedness of it not mattering because they're wealthy people and they're beyond a approach or reprieve. I'm sorry, they're beyond a reproach. They may get a reprieve from other people, but society at large is always watching because, like the British file royalty, Hollywood for the US is our royalty. So a lot of people are trying to mimic, a lot of people, men, women, are trying to mimic what they do. The only thing is, it's not the right thing to mimic. And listen, think about all the entertainers you know, male particularly, that you've never seen their wife involved in any scandal, exposed to anything wrong. Denzel Washington is a fantastic example. He credits his wife with their children because while he was out producing movies, she kept the home life stable. She kept the kids on the straight and narrow. We don't hear about his kids, and I'm sorry, Dave, I got to invoke Magic here. We hear about Magic's son. We see what the public has done to Magic's son. Now, that's not to say Magic Johnson was an absentee father. The history of Magic Johnson's sex life has been well chronicled. He wasn't a choir boy. He wasn't the worst. But the thing about it is we have to stop living under a rock and allow ourselves to become disillusioned with we can view what the elites in our country do, but we shouldn't emulate them. It's okay to idolize Ciara for her ability to sing. Matter of fact, a lot of people might want to pick up the things she's done as a businesswoman. Like Star said, A lot of women can learn from her. You want to learn how to pick up a man. So if you do have a misstep in life, you can find somebody that can clean your image up. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is there's not going to be a lot of men like Russell around. So your best course of action is to avoid becoming a baby mama. And because Black American culture is okay with that, we don't speak out against it. And the first thing that is going to tell you almost to a fault of what kind of woman you're dealing with is the way she dressed. Because you won't see those kind of women sitting up front in the church pews. Why? Because the church used to shun them. You can't come in here dressed like a Jezebel. That is inappropriate. And it was always the older women who kept the line on that mess. It was the older women who ran the loose women out of villages. Who do you think started the temperance movement? It wasn't men. It was married wives. Oxymoron, if you will. They didn't want that element in there because they know men are weak to the flesh. So they will run them out of town. Get out of here. Go on the outskirts of town and be a whore, be a home wrecker. But you're not going to do that here. You're not going to do there where families reside at. And now that there's a concise attack on families, because if you ask people what a family is now, mother and children, where's the male element? We're not even talking about masculinity. Which is just where's the male element? We saw that with Black Lives Matter. Completely wrote the male element out of what a family is supposed to be. Talking about kids and wife. Last I checked, there was a male needed to produce those offspring. See, now it's become a point to where does what men think, especially black men, matter to black women? And they will tell you by and large they don't. That black men have no say in how we do. Black men can't control us. And it's not even an element of control, it's an element of protection. But a lot of black women don't view that as such. So the
It's,
moment that something happens, they say we're unprotected. The first, and we've said this before on this platform, the first rule of protection is you have to listen. You have to listen to the people who are going to protect you, whether that's a man being protected by his wife, a wife protecting his man, I'm sorry, a wife protecting her husband, your boyfriend protecting the girlfriend, girlfriend protecting the boy, and some people protecting kids. If somebody gives you some information that could keep you out of harm's way, you'd be foolish not to adhere to it.
it, it's it's so much that's that's disturbing with this whole thing. And if you think about it, when you like you said, Herb, that people don't want to listen, or whatever the case is, if the social system or government wasn't set up the way they were set up, it would take power away from people. I think this whole thing is fucked up. This whole constitution thing. I've been saying this for years. This whole tax thing that uh, oh, people who have children and earn income, that they get all this tax money back and all that stuff. And to me, it never made sense. And you see the banter that goes on with people like, why y'all worried about what other people get? But if you ain't worked and somebody's paying for your rent, paying for your health insurance, your kids' health insurance, giving you financial assistance, food assistance, excuse my language, the fuck do you need to get back? Where it's to the point that there is no middle class because middle class people may struggle with everyday everyday stuff. Some things that arise that you like, oh, you get a tight spot. but you don't get no assistance. You jacked up. And we got it all wrong. You got people who went to school, worked hard, and all that stuff. These are the people that should be rewarded at the end.
Mm-hmm.
They should be rewarded. Here is a healthy little thing at the end of the year, for you working hard that you can have. Not people been getting stuff, handouts all throughout. What's the point? What's the motivation? You don't get motivated for and that's why our community stay the way that it is. You don't get motivated to say, Jan, if I go to work, then I really got to do something. Shit, I in Section 8, I be $35. I get food stamps. I get insurance that I can get whatever health insurance that I can get whatever done. I can even get my ass done, some bigger titties or whatever the case is. What's the motivation to get off of that? And we wonder why crime never changes in our community. There's no motivation to move upward. Because you see people that, like, damn, they got a good job, but they still may be struggling a little. I don't want to struggle, and I get everything for free. Now, you got to change that shit up. But it's not going to change it. They worried about fucking daylight saving times or whatever. We're not going to do that no more. But they don't never want to look at the reality of people saying, you want to reward people that's doing well. We spend all too often rewarding people don't deserve it. Even in the school system, you cop and please with kids, giving them reward systems. Like, if you do this, we'll buy you lunch at the end of the week. If you don't do this, you don't do that. And this fucking kids ain't never did nothing. They've been scholars. Perfect. Where's their reward? A piece of paper? A certificate? But the bad kids get all their tangibles. Our system is, excuse my language again, fucked up. All across the board. All across the board is jacked up. And we expect change. It won't happen. You can go to any church. You can go anywhere you want. That shit don't matter. I said it. Don't matter. We screwed.
Honestly, and I'm going to read one more thing from Star. She says, black men are mostly conservative, but pretend to be liberal to get pussy. Listen, please stop. When your women vote emotionally, it would be wise for you to vote logically. I guarantee you, if more black men stood their ground politically, things would change drastically. Stop conforming to liberal-minded women. You start sounding like them. That's embarrassing. We need more Ice Cubes, the rapper. Many women shame him, but his wife and other black folks with sense had his back. Foxhole. Even if his wife didn't agree with his stance, she still stood for what he believed in. That's called being a man. Stop allowing pussy to dictate how you vote and who you support. Where will you find a conservative woman? But that means she doesn't conform, sir. You read policy. She reads memes. She will give you the pussy even if you vote logically. If the liberal Democrats can manipulate her, then it shouldn't be hard for you, unless you're slow. Go ahead and delete me. I said what I said. And yes, ladies, your man is secretly conservative, but he fakes it around you because he doesn't want to sleep on the couch. Just ask him. That's what a lot of people have to understand. And because historically, the Democrats don't even campaign to black people. Your vote is considered Democrat by default. Why do you think there was such an outroar when Stacey Abrams, the darling of the Democratic Party, got her behind handed to her in the last election for governor of Georgia? And who bore the blame for that? Black men. Because black men said, we're going to put our foot down. We have had enough of being taken for granted and overlooked. See, all this stuff plays into what we're talking about, but people say it's none of our business. Why are we concerned? Because it speaks to the grand community. It speaks to the way the homes are ran in Black America. And if we can't have a say so in how our women look, how they dress, how they rear children, how they behave, whether it's publicly or privately, then they don't deserve a motherfucking thing from us. No protection, no financial security, no attention, no nothing. So you got a choice, black women. Either you get in line or you get left behind. And if y'all want to keep imitating and defend Ciara, do it. But do it at your own peril. Because black men have had it. When they tap dance on Kevin Samuels' grave and they celebrated, y'all let us know exactly where y'all stood. Y'all were telling us that y'all didn't give a fuck about what we thought. We heard you loud and clear. We taking our chips. Some of us has just stopped dating y'all. Some have gone overseas. But I'm here to tell you now, your daughters will feel it. You may not care, but I'll show you that your daughters, when they go look for a suitable mate and they want a black man, they gonna catch hell. And they catching hell because you planted the seed. You watered it, you fertilized it, you tended to it, and now it's growing. Don't be upset. Blame yourselves.
Ooh, it's a lot. And we keep saying this. But nobody wants to hear it. You get you get ridiculed like, why y'all keep talking about this? You could tell how important it is. That's only simplistic thinking people who think like you're supposed to sweep it under the rug because you know that it impacts regular people. Poor people or people struggling, they dream big. They want to be Sierra. They want to be LBJ. They want to be Floyd Mayweather.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be all of these people. But you have to have a certain dedication, commitment to get to that level. But it's hard to get to that level when you're living in dysfunction. You can't get to that level. Now, how did they get to that point? Some people just born, they just gifted. Sometimes it's just in your DNA. Just like nobody ever chronicled LeBron who his dad was, but he had to be something. He had to be a force, fucking man child or something.
Yeah, because 6'8", 6'9" men just don't drop out of, no pun intended, they just don't drop out of the womb.
Yeah. So whoever he is, wherever he at, he was a force, which leading to LeBron being a force, Bronny, Bryce. Sometimes some things are just in your DNA,
Correct. Absolutely.
but some people it may not be. But you dream big, and we have to secure and make sure everything is on point. But we have to try to keep it clean because, like some people, like when we look at the Sierra Russell thing, yeah, they got money on top of money, whatever. But that doesn't mean other people are not watching,
Right.
and that's the thing. People are watching. People are emulating behavior. So therefore, that's why you have to say, nah, I'm gonna pass on that. I'm not gonna do that. But again, according to what y'all say, stop worrying about what women wear or whatever the case is. But you're in a relationship, you wear something, and then you got people staring at you, gawking at you, making comments towards you, but you out with your man. And we talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got to fucking fight for my life.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got to fight for my life because this drunken bastard then said something to her, and I told her, I don't think you should wear that. I don't want you to wear that. Oh no, it's going along with the theme. And he ended up dead. Now what? Stuff you got to think about. Sometimes we like to create drama when drama isn't there. It doesn't have to be there. But y'all keep focusing on y'all themes, dumbasses.
Yeah, I mean, like I said prior, protection works if it's done correctly. Protection should work in a 360-degree covering arc. If you have the counsel of a wise woman, whether she's a friend, mother, daughter, girlfriend, or wife, everybody is supposed to be looking out for everybody else. And we love to believe that as men we see everything. We don't. We can't be had. The song, or I'm sorry, it's a song. Well, actually, it's a song, but it's also matters. Everybody plays the fool sometimes by what the heck is his name? Aaron Neville. I believe he has a brother too. And there's also matters. You can fool some people some of the time. You can fool all the people. Some, you can fool some people some of the time. And you can fool all the people. I'll make sure I get this right. Bear with me. You can fool all of the people some of the time, and some of the people all the time. But you can't fool all the people all the time. The only way that happens is if you have a group of people who don't pay attention. Black men have started paying attention now. We see what's going on. We see who's behind it. And we no longer wish to be Pinocchio to the mainstream society's Geppetto. We cutting the strings. And we are saying we are walking away from this gynocentric nonsense. It's as if the Blizzard, it's like the Blizzard King, pardon me, too many things in there. It's like the Blizzard King says, brothers, shout out to Dennis Sterling, you have to kill that Queen Mother God simp chip in you. You around women that's doing things that are ungodly. Cut them off. No explanation. They know what they're doing. It's questionable. They don't have to ask you. Their soul tells them. This is the other reason why people have a problem with what Ciara and Russell are doing. Because if he's supposed to be a Christian, a God-fearing, Bible-wielding, thumping Christian, then his wife is supposed to be covered. And some people want to say that he's a dom. Last I looked, doms didn't get divorced. So when did he become a dom? After his first wife stepped out on him? Or when he married Ciara? And people want to talk about Ice-T. Ice-T is actually a man from the streets. So Ice-T don't even fit in this realm. Because there's a lot of women, simply put, who can never be what Ice-T's wife is. They don't have the shot. Not even Rihanna. She don't have the chops for it, regardless of how she looks. Because her and Ice-T's wife, not in the same category. I assure you that. Okay? Anybody who don't think so, go look up Ice-T's wife. and then come back and let me know what you think. But modesty, it's everything. And it's more important to a man. I know some men don't mind, you know, mind having their wife look a certain way because it might validate why they chose her. And that's fine. I'm not here to tell a man that you can't have your wife dress however you want to in public. But understand, she's representing you at some point in time.
Hey y'all.
Trying to
What's
see
going on?
what's good.
Hey, hey.
Where you standing, young lady? Good to have you aboard.
I honestly think, well, two things. Everything is not for everybody. Would I have worn that? No, I don't care. No, I wouldn't have because of the attention that it brings, whether it's male or female. That's just attention I don't like. But at the same time, I feel like it's not a I feel like it's a jump to come from for her relationships because even then I have certain things that I only wear when I'm going out with a man because I could do that and I know I'm not going to get the extra attention from the random men, so I'm more comfortable wearing what I like to wear. Um, but I don't feel like she's a hoe. I don't feel like she's disrespecting her marriage because he walked out the house with her. He saw what she had on, and if he had any dislike about it, I'm pretty sure that there would have been a happy medium for them, and she decided to wear it, so it was okay.
That's what a lot of people are saying. And like I said, we're not here to tell any man what his wife should or should not wear. And I think that message is actually being lost. What we are saying is that type of appearance can send the incorrect message to women who are out here who think they can look like that, and there will be repercussions or backlash.
For the echo.
Is that me? Is that me? Check.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. But that's that's the larger message that we're trying to communicate is that no matter what we do in public, if it's something questionable, it's going to have an impact negatively or positively. It reminds me, and I'm gonna go back in history a little bit to um, JFK when he was president. The way that Jackie handled herself in the midst of all the swirling speculation about the infidelity that her husband was involved in, she was graceful throughout. She was so graceful during her husband's presidency that nobody ever questioned her about what he did because she was the face of that family. She held that family together. And it wasn't until after she had passed that a lot of the things about what John was doing started to become public. For better or worse, we always talk about how the how the queen protects the king. That's how the queen protects the king. The same way a man can wash a woman's image is the same way that a woman can keep a man's image. And I always say this, and I'm going to die by it. If you're out there doing dirt, make sure that the dirt that you're doing does not come to light. So, in other words, if you're out there as a man and you're running around dealing with women that you probably shouldn't be dealing with, make sure that shit don't hit the light of day. I always talk about NDAs, and there's a particular reason. Nobody needs to know what you're doing. Nobody needs to know. Keep it your business. Is she married? And I'm not advocating this. Keep it between you and her. You married. Keep your business out the spotlight. You want to stay low? You want to stay out the radar? That means you're going to have to move a certain way. Because shout out to the field marshal, as Ron Wills talks about it, there is an underworld of sexual activity that most rank and file people don't know about. HBO used to air a series called Real Sex. Very eye opening if you've never seen it. I don't know if it's on DVD. More than likely, probably not, because I don't think they would actually sell it. But when I saw some of the episodes, I was like, yo, this is crazy. But it's the underworld of sex. You have a lot of couples who are swingers. They're wearing things to theme parties, just like Ciara. But here's the kicker. You'll never see a publicly photographed. They have parties like this. And you know what the admission to the party is? Your phone. That way they can be assured of the old adage. You remember the old adage, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? What happens at this party stays at this party. We have too many people that are living their lives through social media. They doing it for likes. The like has replaced the pat on the back, the attaboy. No longer are things nod, wink, what's up? I see you, and you keep it moving. No, we got to be vocal about the woman we getting in bed with. We got to be vocal about the number of women we done smash. Or there's a woman out there saying, yeah, I've been with 30 men, and I'm only 26. Is that supposed to make you look desirable,
Shit, not cool.
attractive?
But some men may see that as a flex. Like, how do we know Russell Wilson didn't see Ciara's body after having, what do they have, two or three kids?
3 kids.
No, three. After having three kids, it might be a flex to him. So he might want her to say, yeah, wear that.
I don't.
I've had times where I'm like, "Ooh, this shirt is too much," because I do when I go out. I like my cleavage. I've had it where I'm like, "Ooh, should I wear this or should I wear this?" And it's the one with more cleavage, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool, whatever."
But see, there's a thin line between being sexy, seductive, and then trashy. Marilyn Monroe. I said, and I remember this. I just told a woman she got offended because of the ethnicity, but I won't get into that aspect of it. She said, wear your clothes tight enough to show that you are a woman, but loose enough to reveal you're a lady. And
I can dig that.
I think a lot of women need to take that to heart. Men, by and large, no matter what walk of life we come from, we appreciate the sensuousness of a woman. We appreciate a woman who could put on that little red dress and them high heels and look good, look desirable, and be the envy of everybody in the party. But she go home with that guy. Nobody's thinking she's a Jezebel. Nobody's thinking that she's for the streets. We're thinking that woman is the epitome of class. Like I spoke about earlier with Michelle Obama. Whether you were Democrat, GOP, Republican, for users out there that don't understand that. Nobody ever called her trashy. Even her political opponents. They may not have liked her. They may not have liked what she stood for, but they always respected the fact that she was modestly dressed. And that's what we're trying to get across is that decorum sometimes is lost on people because we had never been taught it as a kid. We've never been taught modesty as a kid. Think about it. We got the young 20 somethings, 30 somethings, not say young relative to my age, walking around with no belt pants hanging down halfway off their behind. They couldn't run if they had to.
Mm-mm-mm.
That's
I
that's
hate that.
that's
Ugh.
jail culture bleeding into everyday culture. So when people say they don't see why it matters, because one trickle in a dam can eventually lead to a flood
See
if
that
left unchecked.
that ain't even security minded. That, but I want to go back to if you with your woman is she's showing a little cleavage and got on something. I think it's different. I think it's I think it's definitely different compared to letting everybody see everything. Everything. And you again, you have to consider his profession. Some horny ass football players that's talking. Then again, I'm gonna keep going back to the kid element, whatever. Little cleavage and all that stuff. Yeah, my baby looking good. Oh man, we having a good time. And I know at the end of the night, shit gonna go down. But I don't that whole get up. It just does it. It just doesn't work. It just it's like it's challenging your his manhood.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, how do we know he does not like that? How do we know that's not the dress that he picked? We don't
Uh,
know that.
no, we don't know that. We only can speculate. But
So
how many
I get the, it was trashy. It was too much. She was doing too much for, you know, the Oscars or whatever. I get that part.
Vanity
But
Fair, yeah.
to add on like, oh, it's a problem in her relationship, he may have picked that.
Well,
let me
personally
let
speaking,
me let me
go
read
ahead,
this
Faye.
comment from Ghetto Spot. He said, "Every so often, I want my wife to show a little cleavage, not that outfit Megan Good had on when she was married back in 2013. Also, people forgot that outfit that J Lo had on when she was with Diddy. See, a lot of times we put bases on these entertainers, and they do what the hell they want. But again, regular people want to emulate these people. So they think in common relationships, it's okay for me to post up on social media with this or do that. It may not be okay. It's not okay for some. Nobody's the judge or has all the answers. That's why you just have these conversations. But I think people rather turn their head, turn their left cheek, and don't want to talk about this shit.
Yeah, to address what you were saying, Shaughnessy. Now, I think the people who are speaking on, excuse me, speaking on his relationship, I think they're misguided because we don't know what's going on in the relationship. This is why I personally refrain from speaking on their relationship and whether he agreed to it or he didn't agree to it, or whether he even picked it out. Because I know I picked out clothing for women to wear that I've been with. But I have also been aware, that if I'm going somewhere with this woman, she represents me and I her. So I'm not going to pick something, and she might be amenable to it because I know there's some women out there that be like, "Ooh, you want me to wear that?" They think it's a power move, like the young people that call it. They think it's a flex. What? Who is it exactly a flex to?
You did like my wife look good and y'all can't have it.
Yes, but this is the thing. Let me put it. Let me change. Let me change the medium in which we're comparing it to. If I had $1 million, would I walk around with that $1 million in a manner that exposes it, that might allow somebody to try something dumb to get it?
Just because you don't dress like a slut don't mean you can be addressed or played with like one. That doesn't give an open window for somebody to touch you or do something stupid.
I concur. But does it happen?
It does, but that's where it goes to a bigger conversation of control.
What if
And
what if
just
go ahead, I'm sorry.
in what do they call it, slut shaming? Just because a woman dresses provocatively doesn't mean she wants to be looked at or treated in that manner.
I concur. But who's to stop somebody from doing it?
Her husband.
So let me get this right. You get somebody like Michael Clark Duncan who walks up on this dude and says, "Yo, man, your wife looking tasty tonight. How about I palm her ass?" What exactly do you think Russell Wilson is going to do to a guy like that? Just curious. And,
Well, they
and
have
for
security and all that stuff too.
and
So
what do you think they gonna do? Just for hold on, just so people understand who I'm talking about. If you watch the movie The Green Mile, that's Michael Clark Duncan. Security is not exactly gonna roll up on that dude and have an easy time. They gonna take some L's before they get him done with. This is why law enforcement ends up doing what they do to some people. See, we have to disabuse people of this notion that you or anybody, I'm not saying you specifically, but that a person can walk around dressed or behaving in any manner they want to, and somebody's not going to say something or be offended by it or do something. Case in point, to put a finer point on this, in New York State, it is legal, okay, legal for women to go topless. In the summertime, I can tell you, I never see women topless. Why? They don't want to run the risk of being groped, regardless if they're with their husband, boyfriend, or not.
Hold up. You said in New York State, women
It
can
is
go
legal for
topless.
women to go topless. It is legal.
Yeah, I ain't never seen none of them saggy titty
what kind
women
What?
what
Hey,
topless.
kind of topless?
say it again. Trying to see
What kind of topless are we talking?
what kind of topless is there?
Like in a strip club or
No.
like out in the street?
Mm-hmm.
Titty swinging.
Mm-hmm.
That shit would be funny in Niagara Falls. Them saggy ass titties. So I
Hey,
ain't
let's.
never.
But so if they were perky titties, they would be fine.
I'm not here
No,
to say what is. Oh, you talking to David?
no. I'm just saying. If you have five, it may be one with perky was. That's all
But
I'm
this is
saying.
the thing. I mean, you don't see younger 18 to 25-year women who haven't had children who have close to perfect breasts or women who've got breast implants. You don't see them doing it. Why? Modesty, just a little bit of decorum. They've been raised to say, okay, you know what? Even though I have them, it's not for the world to see. And that's all we're saying.
I
That's
can agree with that part. I just don't. My biggest thing is, coming from for her relationship and marriage and stuff like that. I feel like, okay, judge the outfit, judge whether it was appropriate, but it has nothing to do with her marriage or the
yeah.
stability of her marriage or her man.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't comment on people's relationships. That's not my place. I'm not a part of that. It has no bearing on my life particularly. But when, like I said, when I see things like that in the public light and given the music and the impact of her music, it's something that needs to be addressed because she has the ears, excuse me, the hearts, and most importantly, the mind of a lot of young, impressionable, and some foolish women. And they're reciting these lyrics and they ingest the energy and then they start to try to live that particular life. And that's when the problems come in. They realize if they're smart enough, they realize early on that that's not compatible for them to find a suitable mate. Whether they want to or not is immaterial, because a lot of women are walking around talking about, well, I just want a man that treats me right. You want a man that treats you right, but you're dressed wrong. I don't get it. That's the equivalent of saying that I want somebody who's not going to beat me, but I can beat them. Some of these things that we do, they're incongruent with what we want. And because they're incongruent with what we want, we're compromised. See, we want the woman that looks good, but you got some men that wanted to dress slutty. Bro, it don't work like that. Either she is
like I
or she
said,
isn't. Don't dirty
we
her
all,
up like that.
we always dealing with an imbalance. We always imbalanced with shit. So that's the issue. We got another person who just joined us.
That's Sergeant of the goddamn law. Woo!
He changed his name. Come on, stop playing with us,
As soon as
man.
I see a Thundercat, I already know.
No, Herb, there are multiple Thundercats.
Oh!
Panthro was just one. Tiger was the scientist in the group.
Yeah,
So he's Panthro, I'm Tigra. This is my
Doctor,
alias.
what up, Mark?
Just call me Tigra.
Oh, they got me. I'm sorry. What's on, man? What's going on?
Nothing much. I just want to come up behind my alias here. I want to ask a question. Other ethnic groups are when celebrities and other ethnic groups do stuff like this. If celebrities and other ethnic groups do stuff like this, do folks argue over this? Did the Jewish people do this? Do white people do this? Do Arabic people do this? Do Hispanic people do? Well, I guess you could put Cardi B and J Lo in there. But what I'm saying is, I think part of the issue is that our people are susceptible to media imaging.
Yeah.
And the problem is, if this is just restricted to Russell and Ciara's home, who cares? But I think the larger concern and the larger implication is that our people, well, a certain critical mass of our people take their behavioral cues from what celebrities do, rappers, athletes, entertainers. So the concern is that this is going to contribute to the further social deterioration of Black people in the United States.
yeah, and I think we talked about that earlier. That you have people that's watching these individuals and they think, oh, because they did it, I can do it, but you're not at that level. Because as when you're poverty stricken, you like to dream big. And sometimes we try to live our lives through these individuals and people act it out. Seriously.
Did you guys talk about what happened with John Morant?
No, we never even
not yet. That'll
got
be
into
something
that.
we'll probably cover with because I have a list of talking points.
Okay.
That,
Well, I'll
ahead,
just say folks were on Twitter arguing about that. Someone tweeted, okay, he was definitely influenced by NBA YoungBoy and some other young cat. I don't know because I don't follow all of today's rappers and MCs because it's like different than we had. But that's the concern. That's a major concern with our people is that we are heavily influenced by the media and by imaging. And that's one of the reasons I do a lot of reading. I think that's one of the reasons why Dr. Claude Anderson was so adamant about getting control of our media.
yes.
messaging and imaging, because I think things are intentionally put out there to keep us divided, to lead us astray, to split the genders, and to have us arguing and squabbling over stuff like this. Uh, just look at how people respond to this. Well, you don't. It's none of your business what she wears. It's none of your business what they do in their homes. Ideas are like contagions. I'm reading The Tipping Point right now by Malcolm Gladwell, and ideas, good ideas or bad ideas, they are contagions and they are contagious, and they infect people. And once you get a critical mass of people infected with those ideas, then you've got social deterioration.
Well,
Yeah.
images are powerful, and I remember when I was going through my leadership program and education. One of my teachers said, even far as PowerPoints, said nobody want to resonate in our heads. It's about pictures and images. He said all of those PowerPoints with all those words and all that stuff, you don't remember that, but you remember images. So that's why people are locked in on social media when they see pictures and different things. That stuff sticks to the brain. It, that's what we have right now. We in that world where people take pics, do videos, and all that stuff, words and all that stuff. Ain't nobody checking for that. Nobody's really checking for that. So images are powerful and they stick.
Yeah, I agree, David. The image guy, his I think you guys did something on the image guy last week. I wasn't able to watch, but uh, someone who took umbrage with the image guy when he was alive,
I
uh,
know exactly what you're talking about.
basically asked,
I
yeah,
was
basically
infuriated
asked the
by that
question,
comment.
what good did it do to watch that show? I understand where he was coming from. Anything you want to know what the action items are, what are the takeaways, what are okay, now what? Now what? Now what are you gonna do? But I tell you what, I think part of the value in that show is that it just exposed some things. And I know that there was one particular night when a woman said she was Beyonce, and she said she looked like Beyonce, and she did not look like Beyonce. She, I'm not gonna say what she looked like, but she did not look like Beyonce. And but the power of Beyonce is that she can influence other women to want to be her, to want to look like her, to want to be sensual like her. And that's one of the criticisms that Ciara recently came under, is the fact that she's married and she's making music about being single women, being single, a single woman. And so that's the power of them, and that's the power of their imaging and their messaging, and that's why they are so dangerous.
Honestly, and you know what that speaks to the larger problem that Black Americans have with two factions. One is entertainment, and I want people to go look at oh geez, he did the Jesse Smollett skit. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, and that's a damn shame. But I want people to go look at what he said regarding Jewish people being talked about and their plight versus black people. See, we have to understand that there is a concerted effort to divide what is left of Black America, so there is nothing left. And when I say there's nothing left, I mean that there are no viable men to choose from. Because once you wipe out the viable men to choose from, guess what happens to the women? they become the spoils of war. So not only do they breed you out, they destroy your phenotype. Jimmy the Greek was a handicapper who happened to be on CBS as a sports commentator. He said, in order for the slave master to get the big black buck, he would take his two most physically imposing men and women and mate them together. We David talked about this earlier, mentioned this earlier. There's a particular reason why you find a 6'9" black man who is strong, strong like an ox, runs like a deer. You don't find them anywhere in any other ethnicity in the world. Think about that, people. We have been bred, we have been educated, we have been conditioned to take everything that somebody else gives us under the guise of freedom. Freedom should be the ability to determine your own future. And we are not doing that. We're letting mainstream media, society, and everybody else, except for the people that we need to depend on to tell us how to live. And this is why we can't get ahead. It's not because we infight. Infighting is natural. Every ethnicity on this planet infights. The difference between our infighting and others infighting is we're infighting with nothing to gain. Because once the fighting is done, we go back to communities that are destroyed. We have Dr. Claude Anderson always talks about financial basis. I think it's the four things that are essential for every ethnicity to have: schools, education, grocery stores, banking sector, which to finance all of that. We don't own any of that. That's why other cultures can afford to have the issues, because when push comes to shove, they have the things and the factors there that they can unite around and still sustain themselves. We've heard about the banking collapse. Well, I've heard about the banking collapse in Silicon Valley. There's supposed to be another 3 or 4 banks that are supposed to collapse. People, we could potentially be looking at another depression similar to the ones that happened in 1920, late 1920s, if more banks fall. So just be aware that all the stuff that's going on, we still got to maintain. Governments are cutting back on budgets. There's already been the she session. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with what that means, essentially it means it's referencing the period of the pandemic era layoffs that occurred and women that weren't called back to work. In America, the largest growing demographic of homeless people, mother and children. That's the new family. So if families are becoming homeless, then what does it say about the communities? People got to wake up. We got to wake up. We have to understand what's important, and more importantly, why it's important.
So, Gavin, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I got back. I was commuting, so I finally got in homes. Yeah, but I'm back on the air now.
All right, so share some of your feedback that
What I
from what you
found,
heard.
yeah, from what I heard, but also what I always had a question on my mind is years ago, before Russell and Ciara got married. I don't know if anybody remembers when they just got together as a couple, 2015. How they were invited to the White House by Obama for a state dinner. I believe it's for the Japanese Prime Minister. at that event, and I believe there's some images on the on the social media or the internet. You can see she was dressed respectfully. She looked good. Just like when Herb said earlier about how Michelle Obama consistently would keep present an image to the public. I still wonder, okay, Sierra knew how to dress properly then in that public setting or arena, wherever you want to call it, refer to. Yet at the Oscars, she decided to like go with something different.
It was a theme party. That was the theme.
I don't think others dressed that. Well, I don't recall. I didn't really pay attention to it that much, but I don't think I saw or I haven't heard any other mention of any other women there. Just those scantily.
I don't agree with the whole theme. What was the theme that she dressed along with?
The thing, hold on. There was other women who were dressed similarly to what Sierra's wearing, but the theme was barely there. So I understand what it was. Now, me being a guy, I
Jonathan,
can
can
see
you
how as a woman you want to push the envelope, cause the same amount of
What was the
clamor,
theme?
barely there.
Oh, barely there. Oh.
Now,
Oh.
as a
Well,
woman,
she
you
did
can
it.
do a couple things. You can wear
Oh. She could have
a
wore nude.
yes,
Jonathan, you should mute your mic because
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm gonna switch over. I'm on the car, so you can probably hear everything. Hold on.
now, as a guy, I'll tell you how to push the envelope and still be tasteful. She could have wore a bikini. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what. I Dream of Jeannie. Perfect. She could have wore a sheer top, bathing suit bottom, sheer bottoms, and pasties. Her ass didn't need to be hanging out. She still could have been bare midriff. And I'm sure she would have caused a clamor and nobody would have had much of an issue in terms of things to say. Because pasties are something that very few people wear. And if you ask somebody what a pasty is, they look at you like, huh? What the? That sheer bottom, bikini bottom, behind covered, you look tasteful. Because think about it. What was the biggest issue that people had with the Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake Super Bowl halftime show? Her nipple was exposed. Most people don't consider nudity showing of any portion of the breast other than the areolas. Let that sink in for a moment. You can show all the cleavage you want. People say, ooh, girl, you put them things away before you hurt somebody. Nobody ever calls a woman a slut for showing cleavage. Demi bra. Nobody says anything. See, there's a way that you can do things and push the envelope and still remain within the bounds of good decorum. We used to be able to do that as a society. We used to be able to push the envelope without opening it. Now they want to open it. Now they want to open an envelope, let you look in it. And hey, and if you're the right person, guess what? Sometimes they'll invite you to come into the envelope, no pun intended. This is what we need to get back to. You can be, as a woman, you can be that kind of woman. You can be a woman who pushes the envelope, who pushes the bounds of good decorum, but you don't cross that line. Madonna, back when she first came out, they were in an uproar with the music she made first and foremost, and then the way she looked. But they were her and Cyndi Lauper. They were trendsetters at the time. So when people talk about that they're only celebrities and it doesn't matter, they need to start paying attention to history because people there were legions of young Caucasian women who were mimicking Madonna, but they grew out of it, and the older they grew, they revert back to what they were taught as kids. We're not teaching our kids about anything conservative, and I know some people say blacks have nothing to be conservative about. Bullshit, complete and utter nonsense.
Well, I can't say it's that's a as a general statement because again, I can't say that I'm the most conservative as a person, but as far as dress and not showing everything and yeah, definitely because I am an I hate how our society dresses little girls nowadays. Like I it's just disgusting. Like I get compliments all the time, like in church and things like that. They're like, "Oh my God, I love to see a little girl with bobos and in dresses still, and they're still her fluffy dresses," which is all good. I think some of those things should stick, and I don't know. I just feel like everything is not for everybody. Everybody has an opinion. I just think actually now that I know of the theme, she did it. She did the barely there. Her clothes were barely there, and she stuck to the theme, and somewhat she nailed it. What I'm confused about is why Tim's had a dress that's so big. She did the opposite of the of barely there.
Who's
It
that?
Tim's. She had on the lovely white dress. It was I loved it. She was getting slack because they said that it was a view blocking dress. So she was getting a lot of slack about that. But I just feel like the overall with Ciara, I just feel like we see women at the beach with thong bathing suits and thong bikinis, and she pretty much had that on with a shawl over it, a net shawl over it. Is that something for me? No, it's not something for a lot of women, but a lot of women may like it. It's just that's what she decided to wear. If it was okay with her and her husband, then cool. I don't understand the big to do about why it was so like why it's so negative. Is it a topic of conversation? Sure. I feel like she wore that so she could be a topic of conversation. It was meant to be a topic of conversation, but I don't think that I don't I think it's a lot of negativity that I don't know unnecessary negativity behind it. It doesn't
Well,
speak to her as a person.
Is that
well,
the
can I,
state dinner, Herb?
Yes, it is, Gavin, and I'm glad you brought that up. She looks stunning.
Thank you. That's what I meant.
That's the difference between Ciara then and now with the picture. So you can, as a woman,
Place
you
for
can.
everything. It's a time and place for everything. So when she went to the state dinner, that's how she was just how she was supposed to be dressed. I would hope that she wouldn't show up to the White House wearing something that
But
way. Ooh, no.
well, here,
Then we
well,
would
here-
talk about her. I would talk about her too, and I would
well,
say
here,
we can't take black people nowhere. That would be what I would say.
I
But
want
here's
to,
the
no,
thing.
she wasn't at the White House.
Here's the thing. Even if there was a theme at that function where she was at, where she was barely dressed, how about you having your own mind to be consistent in the way you dress? She didn't have to be all out there like that. Just like you said, Thames wasn't all out there like that and still look sexy, stunning. That's what I think with some of us guys who saw that was like wondering, wait, you knew how to dress in one arena with your man who wasn't your husband at the time. He was just bringing you to the world that this is my woman. Now you're officially wife and you have something that's just way on the other side of the spectrum. Whoa.
so
Wife doesn't take away. Wife doesn't take away from who I am as a person or a woman. So whether she's a wife or not, if her husband is okay with it, then that should be okay with us. So I don't think that takes away from her as a wife. And I think it actually shows us she does know when and where to do certain things. The only thing that I can buy into about this conversation is the image and the influence. But then again, when we bring up people like John Moran, whose image and an influence, me and my son had an extensive conversation about that. And he was like, "This is so disappointing. I can't believe him. He's an influence to him. However, what was that quote that he said at the it's a parade in my city? Oh my gosh, I'm so tired of that phrase. And John, he has all the little kids saying that. But just because he's an influence and he has all the kids saying that, including my son, that doesn't mean my son with good influence in his parents is gonna go ahead and tote guns. So we can't blame everything on stars and actors. You still have to have a base or a home base or some structure at home for your
Well,
kids
Shaughnessy,
to say,
Okay, that's what
well,
Herb said
Shaughnessy,
earlier.
hey, my phone is about to die. Hey, Shaughnessy, I think one of the differences, your son has someone there. It sounds like he has two parents there to provide a positive influence for him. Um, what I will say, and I'm going to drop off, you know who really killed it? And this was actually in the council's corner. LeBron's wife. Woo, she killed it.
"Oh yeah,
She
yeah, yeah,
killed
yeah."
it.
She always does,
The man, oh Lord.
always
Um,
does.
oh
And
Lord.
there you
What I
go.
will say, what I will
I
say
agree
is
with
what
all of that.
the
That brown skin,
the encouraging thing about this whole thing is that there were just as many women standing up and saying Sierra was wrong
Yes,
for doing that. That
yes,
was very good because I think it showed balance, and I think it showed that a lot of the women out there um, are thinking and they're not just towing the party line.
yeah.
right?
That was encouraging. So last question. So Shaughnessy, you have a daughter. If how would you feel if you saw your daughter wear something like that?
Hell no. But
Okay.
that's what's for me and mine. What's for me and mine, just because something is for me and mine and is appropriate for me and mine, that doesn't mean that the world has to conform to my thoughts and my ideas and what's appropriate for me and my children. Because to me, for my children, my daughter can't go to nobody's house. She can't. That's just it. And her father's not playing none of that. That's how he's carrying it. And that's whatever. I respect it. It's unfortunate that she'll never be able to go. Everybody's sleepovers have to be at her house, but that's his feeling. But that doesn't mean the world has to conform. So her friends can turn around and say, okay, well, she can't come to ours, you can't come to mine. Cool. It is what it is. No harm, no foul.
Right.
But every time, we cannot, just because it's not for me, because I wouldn't wear something like that. But again, just because it's not for me does not mean that it's not for anybody in the world. My son has had his hair blonde and dyed since he was maybe about 8 years old. And, initially I was pissed off about it, but it was something that his father did. His father let him do. So I was like, okay, whatever, fine. But just because I let my son do it doesn't mean everybody has to let their kid do it. And even with the girls with the pink, pink hair, initially, I was just like, no, I'm not doing that. Nope, she's not getting no little pink hair in her hair. And what she asked, soon as she asked for pink hair, I was like, okay, you can do it. Because I'm like, it's not that bad. It's not that serious. It's just a little pink, little braid in her hair. She can have it. But that doesn't mean the next mother or a friend of mine could say, "Oh no, my daughter can't have any pink in her hair," and you're that's fine. That's your opinion, and that's what's for you and your child. I wouldn't feel any type of way or any type of offense to another parent saying that. My son wanted blue, both of me and his father at the same time. Hell no, now you're taking it too far. But that's what's for us. What's enough for us is may not be enough for somebody else. So I just think like let her do what she want to do. She not out. I don't know. She wasn't out here twerking. She wasn't out here being inappropriate, splitting her legs open. She was wearing an outfit.
You
She was
you
wearing
you
an outfit.
you mentioned two very important things, and they need to be flushed out. One is growth. You spoke about your son and your daughter wanting different things, or your your son's father allowing him to do certain things. I think expression, individual expression, is very important. I also think that it needs, and I stress needs, to be directed and also um um supervised in a way that you say, okay, these are the parameters that I'm going to permit you to do certain things. Because I mentioned the Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake issue with the nipple slip. I think CBS was carrying the Super Bowl. They were fined heavily for that. Heavily. And it was a mistake. It was a clear mistake. It was a, as they called it, a wardrobe malfunction.
Hmm.
But nonetheless, everybody, because this is the thing I used to tell the kids in my mentoring program. They will say, you adults don't have to follow any rules. And I would always tell them, I said, you know what,
Shit.
you're wrong. What? But this is the thing. This is the thing between understanding at their age and our age. I say, well, you are actually you're wrong. Well, what rules do you guys have to follow? We don't have to follow rules. We have to follow laws. The difference, you break a rule, you might get detention, you might get written up. We break a law, we go to jail. That's the difference. So we have to raise the kids up and get them to understand that yes, you can do things, but ultimately there might be a repercussion on the other end of you doing these things. So keep in mind, and I think a lot of kids don't have the parents who have the ability to parent them in an effective way. They acquiesce to get quiet, and that's dangerous because when you want quiet more than you will in a parent, you'll let your kids do anything. And I'm sure David can attest to this. This is why you have a lot of
Shit,
these
I
kids
can
when they
agree
get to
to
be,
it.
oh,
I've
when you,
had them been a babysitter a lot of nights.
well, no, I was going to say in a setting where discipline is necessary, you get
Oh,
kids
okay.
that are 13, 14 that think they can do anything because they haven't been parented at home. That you can't do that in certain places. That's why the Sierra situation becomes problematic because when she had a chance to exhibit some control, it appears that she did not.
It,
And,
it, it,
and that's the bigger
And
problem.
I do agree with the comment below. Wife and mother should increase a woman's status as a wife and mother when in public. I do. I definitely agree with that. I don't. I agree that there is a different way that I carry myself in that. Mm, I'm not gonna say that I was out here wilding in the streets because I didn't really get that chance because I had my son at 19. But there is certain things that I would never do or I would never want to do because I think of the fact that this is a possibility that my children can grow up to see this or exposed to this. Because I'm telling you, I'd have been had a OnlyFans. I'd have been like, you know what? I'm gonna strip through school if
because
I
that,
didn't have
You,
any
you know,
real
Shaughnessy,
you know,
problems.
Shaughnessy, because that thing be thinging, right?
Because that thing be thinking, and I'm pretty sure that I can make the money I need and get through school without having to work.
But
But so I do agree with that comment. I do agree with that comment. But I think oftentimes too we attach becoming a mother and a wife with losing oneself, and that we can't do that. That's not okay because a man is always allowed to still be who he is, whether he is a father and a husband. And I think women should have that same autonomy to do the same thing, that it does not reflect who she is as a mother. I will never go out dressed like that. However, I don't know her and I don't know how she mothers, but she can mother so much better than me. I don't know that. she could take things or take situations with her children and handle them so much better than I do. We don't know that. So that just because she dressed in this way or chose this outfit doesn't diminish who she is as a person and a mother and a wife.
And you're right. She could be the best mother, but we don't know the outcome in the future with her kids. How these kids are cruel, and how that's going to impact the children. So sometimes you have to think, when in doubt, is this decision is the best interest of my child?
Yeah.
If I didn't have a kid, you do what the fuck you want to do, whatever, and you deal with it. But sometimes you have to think about that. Should I really, should I really do this because it's going to impact others? That's all I'm
But see,
saying.
just that alone makes me think back to when me and my sister were 6 and 7, and my mother told us that she was gay. And, at the time, me and my sister was like, oh, okay, like, I don't care. Like,
Y'all didn't know what
so
gay
what we, right.
was.
And it's crazy because we really didn't understand the concept, but I have so many pictures of me being, 7, 8, 9, 10 at the pride parades and whatever, having fun, painted up and at, having all the fun in the world. But I say that to say this, that didn't affect it. I don't want to say it didn't affect us negatively. Yeah, we used to get slack from it because it became clear, like, okay, girl, you got two mothers and a father. Okay, and your mother, my mother used to hit us with the comebacks. My mother used to hit us with the comeback, and your father is fat and he can't bend over.
Shaughnessy,
Like, so,
Shaughnessy, before you go further, you said you got a son. Imagine you out there with that dress on and your thing be thinging, and your son in school, and these little young cats saying, damn, damn.
Yo, Scott.
he
Yeah,
get that
your
in,
mother.
he get that anyway though.
Oh, yeah, but that's what you with jeans on and your out
I,
clothing and all that stuff. But
I
to
have,
see
you know
that
what?
shit,
I have a
to
better
see that,
example for
but
you,
see
David.
bare
I know
ass
where you're
like
going with
that
it too.
is different.
Hold on, trying to see before you reply. Tia Mori just got divorced, correct?
Yes.
She's in her kitchen with her 10-year-old son.
Mhm.
She's trying on a bathing suit and said to his son, no, he said, Mom, why are you wearing that? She said, well, it's just a suit. He said, no, Mom, why are you wearing that? She said, well, it's something that I can wear to the beach. He said, Mom, you're not going to wear that to the beach. And she replies, how do you know? He said, look at the boots that you are wearing.
Mhm.
This is a 10-year-old boy
I agree.
who recognizes when a woman is trying to make herself sensual for no
Not
reason.
even know these little boy. I get what you're saying, and I'm not discounting what you're saying. But when you have a son as a mother, they cross over into thinking they your father. They
Well,
cross over
you
into
want me to
thinking
tell
they
you
your
why?
father
You're exactly right.
automatically, automatically. And it's not. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be anything about what you're wearing or what. It's just that I
Respect.
don't know if it's a male thing, and I
It
don't know
is.
if it's coming
It
into.
is. And
I
want
don't
me to
know
tell you
what it
what?
is.
Want me to
Mhm.
tell you why it is and what it is? Just like a man protects his wife,
Right.
black boys protect their mothers. And I'm sure David and
Right.
Gabby can attest to this. When
Yeah.
we were younger, speaking about your mother from another person was an automatic fight.
I agree. And I even had to I even had to say something to my son's father about it when he said it because he always tells them, all right, make sure your mother and your sister are straight. And I'm like, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that. I get what you're saying. I
That's what
don't
you
know if
just
I like
mentioned.
that.
That's what he's supposed to do.
No, he's a child. He's a child.
But
I'm supposed to make sure they're straight, and they take it. I feel like because my son will say, "Well, why are you going? Where are you going so late? To work." Okay, well, who's gonna be there when you get out the car? If you
How
was
old is
with
your
me, what the
son?
fuck you gonna do? like,
How old is your
what's
son?
wrong?
But he's
He's 12
teaching him
now.
to be in that role.
Whoa, whoa, wow.
But see, it's not a bad thing, and this is why I was
I'm
talking
not
about.
saying it's a bad thing, but I also don't want him to fall into that because I'm the boy, I gotta be the protector.
But you know
No.
what? You know what? He will be distracted because sooner or later he'll have his own life, whatever, that he'll be protecting someone else. But to put that,
No, Zion is on it. I'm telling you, Zion has embarrassed me plenty of times. I think I said this on this pod before. Layla had swung her hair or something, and her bead hit her in the eye, so her eye was red and it was watering. I don't know where he probably was like, oh, I'm going to look at the toys or something. But Zion saw her eye. He was like, "Do you see her eye? What's wrong with her eye, Mom? You don't see her eye?" And I'm like, everybody's looking at me laughing, and I'm like, Zion, she's fine. Like, it's okay. And he's like, "Are you sure? You sure?" And I'm like, "Whoa, hold on. I'm the parent. I got this. She's good.
Yes, but the thing that you may
She
not be.
shouldn't have to bear that burden."
No, hold on. But it's not a burden, and that's what women have to understand. For a man, it's natural. That would be the equivalent to me saying that women shouldn't have to endure labor. You would look at me like I'm crazy. That's part of the process of giving birth. For a man, it's natural to be in that position. He's starting to come to
He is
that
a
age.
boy.
He's hold on.
he's
He's
going to
going to
grow
be a
into a
man longer
man.
than he is a boy. So if you start to gild him, or I'm sorry, geld him at an early age, he's never going to be the actualized man he needs to be for a potential wife. And this is the thing that women have to understand
You
is
don't think there's not ways to do that without? I get it, because I know for a fact, like I was with my my boyfriend and his kids and all that, and his daughter grabbed the door, and her father was somewhere trailing behind, and I was like, and I grabbed her hand instantly. I said, "You don't touch a door when all of these men are around." And she was just like, "Oh, sorry." I'm like, "No, it's nothing to be sorry about." But things like that, yes, I get. I get all of that, because I definitely want my son to be a gentleman at all times. I do get those compliments because my son knows I don't play about that. But there's certain things like with I don't want it to get blurred because you are still a child. So that's like me, for instance. I wait for my kids to get in the car before I do, and then it becomes like a war where he's like, "Go ahead, get in." And I'm like, "Little boy, if you don't get in the fucking car, get in the car. You're
But
Okay,
not
even
waiting for me to
but
get
all
in
right.
the
but
car."
but even with a woman holding, sometimes it's you just caught up time and situation that a woman will
right,
hold the door open for a man because it's just that time and whatever.
right.
So we can't be spooked out by those
Well, no,
situations
I'm
that
not
you can't open
necessarily
the door.
spooked out. That was more so of teaching her, because she instantly just went to grab and open the door, and I just wanted her to know you have two older brothers. You have somebody that's younger than you also, and then your father's trailing behind. Me personally, I stand at the door.
How
Okay,
old?
I'm
hold
not
on, hold on, hold on. Go ahead, Gavin.
Okay, I'm sorry. What's your name, ma'am?
Shawnee's. Her
Shaughnessy.
name is Shawnee's.
Shaughnessy. Shaughnessy, this is
Shaughnessy.
Gavin.
Shawnee's. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay. Shaughnessy, this is Gavin. At that time when you said this is your stepdaughter or your boyfriend's daughter,
Uh-huh.
okay, so is she older than your son at that time?
She is. She's 13.
Okay, where was your son at that time?
They were all like, we were all walking into a restaurant together.
Okay,
They
all
were
right,
all there. She just happened to be in the front. I
okay,
just that
and she was about to open the door for everybody, correct?
mm, yeah.
All right, and you were trying to like let her know there's other men around, including your son, that he could have opened the door. Any other man could have opened the door first.
Yes.
Okay, do you see where some of us can like are having a question mark right now regarding that?
No, tell me why.
All right. You just wanted your son, or well,
The
your
other boys,
stepdaughter, or all the boys to learn. Okay, male behavior is to open a door for a female, right?
absolutely.
Yet, what Herb and I are saying, there's also male behavior where a boy protects a female,
Yep.
and you just divided it up.
Yep. Sure did.
It
That's
And
just
you're
the
not
scared
even
me because
problem.
I
cognizant
don't
of
want
it.
it to turn into something. And I definitely understand. I get what you're saying now. I don't want it to turn into something where he feels like as a child he has to be a man.
Whoa, whoa,
But
whoa, stop. Okay,
but
wait,
you're already pushing that. Oh man.
Hold on, hold
Okay,
It's
on,
go ahead.
it's
Herb,
two.
hold on.
I feel like it's
Go ahead.
two different things because I feel like if we're out in the street and a situation arises, I'm still mom. I don't ever want you to feel like because you're male, you have to jump out there. No, you're with your mom.
Okay, Shaughnessy. Now
Yes.
there's the addition to that. What, and this is where us men can teach the boys, and I need you to understand it's possible to allow his father or your boyfriend, whatever. We as men do not protect every female that's out there. The lesson to learn as a boy, discern which females are deserving our protection. But if you stop him cold from beginning, bop, then now you just throw him into a question mark one where now he's going to unfairly restrain himself.
Right.
Oh.
Teach the boys, okay, every boy, and your son is 12. Yes, he
Yes.
needs to learn this. He's going into puberty now, into beginning of high school. Oh
Don't let
my
him hear
goodness.
that. Don't let him hear
Oh
the
my
people either.
goodness. Oh my goodness. So this is again part of growing up, if you want to call it a rite of passage or whatever. This
Mhm.
is a boy lesson that he learns as a boy. Not every female is deserving of your protection. And this is where he discerns and learn that.
Right.
Your mother,
Mhm.
yes. Your sister, yes. Those women who are within your family household that you're allowed to be in your household, yes. That person out on the street, you don't know. So, But
So,
those that are within your family circle who are family and loved ones,
mhm.
hell yes.
Okay.
Now
So
you understand.
I don't disagree with that. So that brings me to that brings a question to me. So when hmm, I don't know. I get what you're saying.
That's the question.
How do you so if you say it in that manner and we have how we have the culture where we take out our phones and record versus intervene or break up. So what you're saying is if a man is in the street and he sees maybe, and I'm not saying I want my son to jump in a domestic dispute. No, I'm not saying that at all. But so does that mean that men, if you see a situation where you see a guy and such and he's beating on a female, just then you're not even supposed to say, hey brother, look, let's calm down, let's not do that. that's
Wait,
that's
okay. Like I said, now there comes the discernment part.
okay.
Discern who to protect physically, but also learn who to help in other ways, manners, and other respects. That's when
Okay.
you whip out your phone, you don't get involved because, and that's a
Hmm.
whole nother aspect. Now you can get jumped on by the male and female in that
Right,
relationship.
right,
So
absolutely.
what is a discerning? Again, another lesson for any boy to learn. You whip out your phone and you call 911 or you call the 911, whatever, and you alert the authorities and say, I'm witnessing a physical assault on another person.
Right.
Here it
That's
is
it.
at this corner, southwest corner, eastwest corner of this street intersection in front of this restaurant, hotel, whatever. And you leave it at
Gotcha.
that.
Okay.
That's how that woman is protected at that time, because in that particular situation, you have a domestic violence situation, and the
Right.
woman will only can be protected when she feels that she needs to leave that situation.
Right.
Nobody can make up her mind for
Absolutely.
except her.
Right. And I receive that. I definitely agree with that. I just don't want it to get into that, that toxic male where, a lot of times little boys feel like they have to be or they are the man of the household because the household is separate from their father. I just don't want it to ever turn into that situation for
Shaughnessy,
mine.
Shaughnessy. Man of the household, or boy protecting the house, or castle doctrine is more than just protecting, per se, standing up and maybe physically taking on a challenge. Again, I just gave you an example whereby a guy called a situation, called the authorities in a domestic
Mhm.
violence situation. Again, in a man of the household situation, he can also alert the authorities, call 911. Hey,
Right.
I'm here at home with my mom. Dad's not here, and we now have a home invasion. Somebody busted into the house. There's danger. Help.
I got you.
911 operator is going to say, all right, son, where are you? Do you know? Can you tell me your address? Yes.
Right.
Pop, 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 pop. Main Street at the corner of blah, 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 yada, 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 yada. Me and my mom, we're going to hide somewhere for our protection. I don't want to say it out loud because this guy may hear us and come find us. But please, this is serious. Can you come and send someone help me? Yes, thank
I
you. There
got
we
you.
go.
That makes sense.
Is he still
Okay.
protecting the house? Yes, he can be a man in the
Yes.
house. Yes,
Okay.
I'm just called for help. But
I
now
got you.
called for help, and now we're going to go somewhere so that we're protected until the help arrives.
Right.
And I think more
I
so
got
for
you.
anything is introducing them to leadership skills.
Yes.
Now you already know that
Mm.
they really can't do much, but I think to start acting and behaving that way, to have leadership, to say, shit, because they really know they can't really do. They still gonna have that fear factor, but for them to say, ain't nobody, excuse my language, ain't nobody gonna fuck with my mother, my sister, or whatever.
Mhm.
That instills a lot.
Yeah.
Like we gonna go down together, and I think that's what's needed with a lot of these boys. Because to
Mm.
be honest, the shit I see
Yeah.
working in schools, I was like, for real, for real. These boys rather tickle each other and do
Right.
stuff like that where there was no training. And when I get them one on one, I said, so what would your father say, grandfather, something, to know that you did that? They probably really ready to punch me in my chest or do whatever the case is. That's the stuff you got to think about when nobody's watching how you behave.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not cool to be 12 or 13, yeah, tickling each other
Yeah.
or
Right.
touching each other. That's not cool. But again, this is how they want to water down shit that we can't say everything we want to say. So,
Mm.
so, but they want us to be in charge of these programs to do this and that. And I said, man, I'm at that age. I'm tapped out. You got to get somebody
Yeah.
younger to do that
Yeah.
because that's y'all philosophy and my philosophy is different. You ain't about to
Brother
do
Herb,
all that.
Brother Glover, and Shaughnessy, I believe there is a perfect example of when a male as a child does not learn how to protect a female. And when he grows into adult malehood, and I'm not going to say a
Mhm.
man,
Mhm.
what could happen or what happens?
Mhm.
Remember that female, that sister who was in Mexico and she got killed?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
What did you see the adult males there do? They just stood there and filmed it,
Yeah.
but nobody called the police.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
That is a clear example of two adult males who, when they were boys, did not learn the lesson of how to protect.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's
Definitely.
Okay.
more ways to protect somebody than just standing and physically
Right.
going toe to toe and blows.
Yep.
contact someone,
Mm-hmm.
notify, and it properly inform so now it can stand up in court and also have the authorities come in so that person can be receive help
Yeah.
and
Right.
not
And,
get
And
harmed.
that's a good,
and,
that's definitely, I definitely appreciate that insight, because I'm telling you, like, the doorbell ring, in my son's room, just the way our house is situated, it is tucked back in, and he be the first one up, and I be like, bro, what is you don't like? So what you gonna do? And it may be my um boyfriend coming in, and he even told me, he's like, well, he's like, no, he's like, I don't think you should say anything, or I don't think that's a problem. He was like, because I know one thing for sure, if I open this door and it's 10 o'clock at night and you're upstairs in your room and his sister's in the room, I know the first person I'm gonna see is him. And I'm like, I don't know if I like that. I don't
but
know if I
but
like that.
but you know what? One day he's gonna be built like that. Right now he's a kid, but one day
Yeah.
he's gonna be 16, 17. Like, yo, what? Who? What you
Right.
want?
And
So
that's how he is now, and I just don't want that to turn into like toxic masculinity. And I that's why I'm like kind of on the
Sean
fence.
C,
Yes.
define toxic masculinity, please, because I hear that buzzword a lot, but I've never had a female define it for me. So please define it for me now, if you
To
don't mind.
me, to me personally, toxic masculinity is, in every situation, or in every occasion, you have to feel like, you have to, the lion has to roar. You have to feel like, I'm big man right here. And I just don't want it to turn into him feeling like in all situations this is what he has to do, especially as a child, because again, he's only 12 years old. So I get it, you want to know what's going on in, quote unquote, your household, but it's not for you. If you hear somebody coming in the door, and that's not, I don't know what you come to do.
Okay.
We got a 145-pound dog that's there before you. So what you, the dog got this, and if
No,
he ain't bark, then chill out.
you,
Like,
you,
Shaughnessy.
I don't
you don't want
know.
you don't want him to stray away from them instincts.
Wait,
Like,
Shaughnessy.
Hmm.
At the door that you're talking about, is there a window next to it?
Not situated enough so that you can see cars,
I'm
but
not
you
asking
can't
about
see.
cars. What about the person that's at the door?
No, you can't see, and I don't even know if my can he see? He can't even see. I don't even think my man's can see out the peephole.
What about
Like,
your
for
son?
real.
Wait, your son. I'm talking. The focus on your son. Can he see out
Hmm.
the people? Can he see, or is there a
No,
window
that's what
nearby
I'm
where you
saying.
can see?
Yeah, I don't think he can see. He most likely he can see the, if it's a car that pulls up, but that boy don't look out the window. The first thing he doing is coming out the door. If he hear that door chime, front door, that boy's coming out his room. I don't care if
Okay,
he's playing a game on his phone. I don't care if he's on FaceTime. I
okay,
don't care if he's in the bed. You see him at the
good.
door.
That's called situational awareness. Very good. He has developed
Mm.
that on his own. Very good
So
for a
that's what
man
it
to have.
is. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Just like I said, I'm receiving what you say. I don't claim or,
it's not a bad
act as
thing.
if I
Question
know
for you.
everything.
Got another question for you.
Hmm.
All right. So your son hears the chiming of the door, whatever, and he's in his room. Is there some vantage point in the house where he could look out through a window and see who is at the door on the other side?
No, no, not unless he looks at the peephole, through the peephole, and I know he can't see. And I haven't given him access to the ring because I don't know. That's shaky. I don't know if I want him to have that yet. But no, he can't see. He just knows that he hears it. He may hear
Hmm.
because the way the dog, my dog, he's phony. If the kids are there, he sits situated in front of the kids, the hall, and as he should, he sits situated in the hall in front of my kids' room. So after a certain time of night, when everybody is in bed, I already know. Like, I have the protection of, before they come through that hall, They gotta see a 145-pound mastiff before they come through
Mm.
that hall. They gotta see him. But the first two people at the door, or two people on the way to the door, is Zion and a daggone and Beans, and I'm just like, Zion, like Jesus Christ. And I get it, situational awareness. I can definitely understand that. I can get it. I just don't ever want it to turn into that male that thinks, or
Yeah,
that young male, that young boy that think he has to be in that position of protection because we're
Okay.
good. I got this.
yeah,
Real.
Mama's gonna
and
protect the household.
and I know
One
your
last
thought
question.
process is something happening to him, and they're like, how the hell it happened to him?
One last
And
question.
you sitting there,
With the door situation that you're talking about, all right. Another question. It's kind of similar to what I asked just now before.
Hmm.
Is there any vantage point where, in that situation, your son comes out, looks through the window, and can see maybe a car that's parked in front of the house?
Yeah, it depends on parking space availability. Sometimes he can see, but I will say, even then, it's not like he doesn't dislike, or he's fond of my boyfriend. So even if he does see his car, he's still going to go to the door. He's still going to, because of course he's going to see,
You want to
see.
confirm he's a man. He wants to confirm who's out there on the other side of the door.
Right, and he's gonna want to see him, see how he is. And same way, opposite. I I had this conversation with my boyfriend probably like a few months ago. Like, if he comes in late and the kids are already in the bed or in the room or whatever like that, he goes and opens both doors. What you think? I'm not lying. They in there. They sleep. Like, why you gotta check on the kids? They fine. Like,
Wait,
what is
who you saying that to?
my boyfriend. So if my boyfriend comes into my house and maybe the kids are asleep, and nobody met him at the door, or he didn't see Zion, or he only saw Zion and he didn't see my daughter, he's still gonna open the door. Even if I say she's asleep, he's still gonna open the door and look.
well, it's
Okay.
nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong with that too, because before he may say, before I lay down for the night, I want to make sure I see them both breathing, or
Yeah.
whatever the
Thank
case is,
you.
because
There you go.
you
Thank you.
never know, you never
Mm.
know. So before he has peace, say, okay, I'm about to lay down. They both good. They're both
See, I
good.
feel like what, I'm lying. Like, they both
No,
in
but
there.
No,
you
that's
don't
not
know every
that's
second.
not
You don't
that.
know every
That it is
second.
not that.
Yeah.
A medical situation could occur, and he's just not going to confirm for himself. Situation could confirm for him the last time he checked your kid until when he gets in. That's all he's doing. And again, another way that a man is protecting his family, or his loved ones. It's not toxic masculinity. It's just different ways and means and layers of protection that he does.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all what you just want to secure. Make sure everybody all right. Whatever. I'm gonna look in here. She good. She breathing. She sleeping good. He's sleeping good. Whatever. Now I can lay my head down.
Yeah.
It, see, we complicate stuff too much. Whatever. It's not a trust that he don't believe in you, but you might have checked. That might have been half an hour ago.
Thank you.
Hmm.
And people die in their sleep. Kids,
Yeah.
Right.
no matter
Right.
what. So
Hello.
Yeah.
you want to see. So you just got to check on that.
These are just, thoughts that I have in my head. I be like, what
Yeah.
the heck? My son does it. Like, his sister be in a bath, and well, they're both getting older, so he's less privy to do it, because now she's fussing him out if he opens the door, she's in there. But he don't care if she's in the bath and whatever. He'll peek the door open. He'll be like, "What you doing?" And I'll be like, "Leave her alone. She's in the bath." Like, boy, like, where, like, she's fine. And he's like, "Oh, I was just checking on her." Like, it's a whole mother in this household, like a whole entire parent in the household. Like, what
If
is
you
going
have a
on here?
budding young man learning to be protector, do not stunt it.
Yeah.
I'm trying that. That's why, I ask questions and I seek understanding. Just like I said, I receive it. I just want to make sure that I'm not almost placing a burden of, I got to be a man or the man of this household.
That's going to be something that like I used the labor reference earlier. That's going to be something he naturally grows into, and that's why Gavin is saying,
I got you.
don't stop the natural progression of a boy moving
Okay.
into that phase of life. This is why the Boy Scout was so important,
Right.
in the maturation process
Mhm.
of young boys, because it took their natural uh, tendencies and it
Mhm.
cultivated. So look at it like this, and it's like this saying. But let's take a non-medical emergency,
Mhm.
and let's say you have a two-story home.
Mhm.
Now just imagine if your son's downstairs, you and your daughter are upstairs sleeping,
Mhm.
and a fire occurs. What do you want your son to do versus what an untrained boy would do?
Yeah, I got you.
An untrained boy would probably run outside.
Right. Whereas
A
he's
trained
coming
boy is going to
upstairs.
go upstairs and say, "Hey, there's a
Mhm.
fire. Let's get out."
Right.
That's the difference. Protection comes in a lot of different spheres, and
Thank you.
I said that earlier. Children will protect their parents. Parents will protect the children, and in turn, we all protect
Mhm.
each other. Because if
Right.
I'm walking ahead of you,
Mhm.
let's take the situation that you're talking about earlier with your daughter. Let's say your daughter opens that door and she sees something that's getting ready to fall, and she tells you to stop. Are you gonna stop or are you gonna keep going?
Yeah, I'm gonna stop. Yeah.
That's one way she provides protection. Now, if that boy runs up ahead of her just because he's a boy and he open that door and he walks through there and something falls on him, he could be harmed. Who knows how badly, just because he's a boy and he think he should step through there. So sometimes nature
Mhm.
presents problems to us that we as sentient people we have to think critically to get through them.
Right.
You ever
Right.
see the remake of SWAT with LL Cool J
Nope.
and
I'm never gonna see any. I don't. I'm the worst. I don't watch movies. I fall asleep on all of them.
oh
Any
no, that's
movie
fine. That's
references, I'ma always miss.
okay. No, and that's good then, because in order for them to qualify, they have to complete an obstacle course.
Okay.
All of the team is men except for one. They have to breach an obstacle, and the only one that was able to breach the obstacle was the woman. Natural
Mhm.
fit. So sometimes we have to allow for what shouldn't be to be. If
Mm.
I can't do something because I'm not equipped to do it, and that doesn't mean I'm not strong enough, that doesn't mean I'm not smart enough, that might mean I'm too big. So I got to go find somebody that's smaller to do it. Why not have a woman do it? We tend to underestimate the real value of women in history, particularly in terms of warfare. Women were the quintessential spies. Why? Nobody ever suspected them. A
Yeah.
lot of information is exchanged on the bedroom post sex pillow. This is one of the reasons why, in times of conflict, men of high ranking nature are kept away from front lines, and particularly women, because they are aware of the effect that women present in certain situations can have on men. This is one of the reasons why they try not to get women in frontline combat situations. I know we've had members on this panel who have been in frontline combat roles. That's why I say try, because ultimately they're going to be exposed to it. But it's the natural proclivity of a man to want to defend a female. And there's nothing that anybody can do about that. They can try and, I don't want to say beat, but they can try and uh educate that out of boys, but at a certain point in time, nature kicks in. It just does. I know Western culture was hell bent on doing that, but eventually it's going to get to a point where that mess is going to revert back to what nature intended. We see that in Ukraine, in the war between Ukraine and Russia. Women are hightailing it out of there, and the government is saying, "With our blessing, go."
Women and kids.
Yes. So this is the thing that we have to look at. You know, despite the feminist ideology that men and women are equal, they say that because it sounds good. But when it comes time to do certain things, you gonna see them women sit back down and say, no. I'm a woman. I shouldn't be doing that. And that's the thing that, you know, we always try to press upon people when they say, why should men care? Because ultimately, men are gonna have to foot the bill for what happens in society, good, bad, or indifferent. So when we have a situation like this, and the women who were vocal proponents of Ciara being able to do what she did, we say, okay, you can do that. But understand that once you step from under our umbrella of protection, when it rains, don't come back, because there will be nowhere for you to come into. And that's the thing. It's gonna be a very rude awakening, and a lot of women are gonna be disillusioned, and it'll be too late.
Whew. It's a lot been covered, a lot going on. But
Oh yeah, 100%.
I could say, and I understand your vantage point too, Shaughnessy, where you don't want a young man to think he controls every uh, perspective or just the stratosphere. But I think he's on a good path of protection because some kids don't care. They don't care. All they care is about their video. They don't, and they'll say they don't like their sister. They don't like their mother. They don't care. But he ha- he's been trained right. He's been schooled right by you and his father. Uh, so that's a good thing, and I think that's going to carry on with him
Yeah,
throughout.
and it should.
Now, granted, he if it's somebody that's bigger, whatever, I'm pretty he probably wouldn't be able to handle it. But as he gets bigger and then mature into his body and all that stuff, he's going to be able to. He'll be a force. Right now, you don't want him on the front line, but his instincts is say, "Shit, I need to protect my mother and my sister." So it's nothing wrong with that at all. I don't think you was a part of the stream, but
Yes,
so
Jesse came back.
yeah,
Yes, I agree. I definitely hear you and receive you.
because we have a lot of these kids, they're clueless. So somebody's in his head, his father's in his head, you've been in his head, so you just let him. But you, as an adult, you make sure you're not in those situations that he has to be the forefront. At the end of the day, we all want to have peace, and we want to be in peaceful situations that our kids don't even have to be involved in it. But then
Right.
again, we have people that's all they have is drama, constant drama, and you have females that deal with people and there's violence and kids see that, and we don't need that. Kids don't need to see that. So we just have to school and try to train them. I guess you got to keep awareness on every situation. Whew, it's been a lot going on tonight. And we're going to get ready to get out of here and get some closing comments. What you got going on, Herb?
Man, Dr. Dunbar had hit on something earlier that I that I'll probably be getting into. And there's a lot of people taking, and this is has little to do with this show particularly tonight, but there's a lot of people taking liberty with the attacks on the manosphere, whether it's the white manosphere or the black manosphere. And I'm here to serve notice. Okay. You don't give a damn what your platform is, how many people you have subs to. There's a particular reason this space exists. There are topics, concerns, and issues that are unique to black men. You can call it whining, you can call it bitching, you can call it complaining. The point is, we are being heard. And now that we have a seat at the table, I agree. We need to do something with that seat and not just occupy it. But you are not the arbiter of what we do. You're one man just like we are. You want to help, but you sure as hell shouldn't be denigrating people because you think you're the motherfucking man, because you're not. You put your pants on one leg at a time, like we all do. So either you're with us or you're not. I'm not going to mention any names. I never do, because the individual's not here to defend themselves or address the accusation. Dr. Dunbar knows who I'm talking about, and I'll probably be hooking up with Dr. Dunbar to talk about this. Because when I was listening to the broadcast, I was kind of tight that he was taking shots at people that aren't here. That's some cowardice shit. But like I said, I'll address that on another show called Black People and Our Hypocrisy. You know, as for this.
Now you got me wondering, like, who the hell is this?
Matter of fact,
say it.
No, because the person's not here to defend themselves or address the accusation. So I never do that. But I'll tell David and I'll tell Gavin, because Shauna said you're not gonna know who the individual is. So it really doesn't matter.
Oh, okay, cool.
But you know, as in terms of this, our culture doesn't permit black men to be critical. So we have two options, black men. Either we destroy the culture that is present and rebuild another one, or we just sit by and remain closed mouth. I'm willing to destroy the culture that's here. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm game. Pick your weapon. And as always, growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
All right.
I am just going to say I appreciate the conversation tonight and the insight as always. I think we're all learning and navigating through life, and this is definitely a good place to have conversations and talk about things. It's definitely appreciated.
And we thank you for coming in and bringing that female perspective and being open to share what's going on in your world and being able to listen and understand and not being combative to say, oh, no, it's such and such. That you're willing to listen to learn and learning to listen. And that's probably half of the people problem, that they don't want to do that. They don't want to listen, because it's two parts of communication. You can talk and you got to listen. And you listen and you respected what we had to say. Like, it's not all bad what your son is going through. Gavin, you got any closing comments?
Oh, this was good. Thanks for allowing me to be on the program. I look forward to many more.
Always welcome, man.
Yeah, man.
Like we said, we always we like for different opinions to go, because nobody. The thing about different people perspectives is about your life experiences. There's no right or wrong to these situations. what we can do is say, well, I would handle it this way, or whatever the case is, and you learn and you grow from these situations. There's no cookie cutter approach or no uh, one size fit hat, one size fit all model. We just throwing stuff out there. But originally when people came on and we were talking, oh y'all speaking lies and all that stuff. Well, I just put those comments out there, and we just keep pushing forward. None of us have all the answers.
Right.
Long as you're willing to learn and willing to listen, then you can have growth. Once you lock yourself in and say, I got all the answers, but you struggling in life, then yes, I don't want to be rude, but what's the point? What's the point of living if you're not really willing to try to grow and understand and develop in other areas? So my closing comment is listen and learn to listen, and seek guidance from others and try to move forward. We're all work in progress with this. And we got to take from each individual and gather stuff and develop. It don't matter how old you are. Nobody has the perfect situation, whatever. So we can all learn from each other and develop. So that's my thing. We out. Great conversation. Thanks for everybody who was in the chat. Thanks for everybody came on in the platform. And and I'm gonna say this again. People who in the platform in the counselor's corner who got so much to say, step it up, develop. Come on the panel. Express yourself. You might not agree with nothing we say. And I tell people all the time, me and Herb don't always agree.
Yeah. Sure don't.
I ain't mad at him.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stop talking to him.
Right.
That's my guy.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't understand that. That's why I say that's where the growth is. And we're not always supposed to agree. And it's not because we have different agendas, it's because we have different life experiences. And that's what makes us unique. We are, I always say this, and I'll maintain it until I'm no longer breathing. Life is all about relationships. How you relate to other people. How you relate to things. Where's the cat at? I relate to cats well. I got one that comes on my back porch when I'm home in the morning sometimes. I think it's a she. I feed it. It sits on the porch, waits patiently. My cat alerts me to when there's a back there. I feed the cat. Build relationships. It's a bridge. It's a bridge to your next destination.
And you know what? And I can concur with that because, and I always make reference to him, to the great Dr. Pappalardo, my first counseling education teacher. He said, everything is about relationships. He said, everything. He said, when you learn to understand and develop relationships, and he's told us when you're in this program and you learn, your relationships is going to be better at work, it's going to be better in your household, it's going to be better, period, when you learn to deal. But people don't understand, because when people get that word relationships, they always think of intimacy, whatever, relationships. But relationships is just co-workers, neighbors, family. It's about developing and understanding. When you close your mind to having good, strong relationships, then essentially you want drama. That's what you're looking for, unfortunately. I like to have good, peaceful relationships. Sometimes I'm not open to some because I might be keen on certain things. Like, nah, they just want to they want to create fire, and I'm not for that. But for the most part, I like to be at peace. I always tell my students this: Like you never want to walk around with enemies.
Absolutely.
You never want to walk around with enemies. You want to be at peace. If you can solve it without drama and all that, you never want to walk around with worrying about, damn, this person don't like me or this person. That's not the way to live. So you have it, people. Think about everything that was said tonight. And you know us, we're gonna keep pushing forward. We're gonna keep putting out content in the counselor's corner, and we're gonna keep having disagreements. And the final thing, I was watching some clip before this in the Boston Celtics coach. I don't know his name. I can't even. I don't think I can pronounce his name. Not the one got caught up in the scandal, but their new
Mickey
coach.
Doma, yeah.
Uh,
I don't know who the coach is.
Coach M.
Ime Udoka.
Yeah, I know him, but the new coach, he said we need to. He was, I guess it was the podcast when Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce was at their facility, and he had said to them, he said we need to endorse conflict. He said we need to endorse it to bring that out. You have to put that out to move forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole thing with our the podcast. You got to endorse conflict. You got to put this stuff out there. Because as you can see, even with this conversation, people are like, oh, y'all still talking about that? This shit ain't over with.
No.
It's going to be somebody naked the next time. It's going to be somebody that's just a regular worker somewhere, work at 7-Eleven, but she decides to go out on a Saturday night and she got on something that's inappropriate or whatever the case is. Endorse conflict to make people feel uncomfortable. And I was like, wow, that's the whole thing. That's what it's about. Got to endorse conflict. As much as y'all want to, people want to sweep it under the rug and say, oh, I don't want that. But you got to, at certain points, you got to endorse it, to talk about it and put it out there. That's all. I think that's my closing comment. Endorse conflicts. All right, good people. We out. See you next time. Thanks for everybody joining. And everybody stay well and be well for the rest of the week. See you next time. We out.
All right, peoples.
All right.
All right.
Good night.